I have a system that helps me survive in a zombie apocalypse. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 101, Weird Vegetable Market. After Wan Qiushu finished his rest, he asked, "So let's go get the juicer now, right?" He nodded. "Yes, there are so many corpses down there, it's time to clean them up. Besides, it looks like there will be no more zombies coming over." Wan Qiushu asked again, "Should we go to the vegetable market to check out the situation?" He thought about it and waved his hand. "Forget it, it's better to stay safe if you are not strong enough. Besides, the dark skirt can only withstand the attacks of level 2 zombies, but not level 3 zombies." Wan Qiushu was puzzled. How many people can there be in a vegetable market? It takes thousands of people on a high-speed train to raise a level 3 zombie. There shouldn't be so many people in a vegetable market. He shook his head. The vegetable market has too many people, so we'd better be careful anyway. Wan Qiushu thought for a while. "Okay, I'll listen to you anyway. By the way, are we really not going to contact those survivors? I haven't seen living people for a long time, and I feel so uncomfortable." He was silent for a while. "Let's talk about it later. If you go to see those survivors as a living person, not necessarily something will happen. If they go there as zombies, they will definitely not be welcomed, and they might even expose their secrets." Wan Qiushu did not say anything more, but transformed and landed on the ground, then rode his bicycle out. He had seen it just now, and there were no zombies on the road, so there was no need to worry too much. However, this time when he passed those buildings, he could clearly feel the prying eyes from the upper floors on both sides. Wan Qiushu frowned. "I take back what I said just now. This feeling is too annoying. I would rather see those zombies than be stared at like now." He smiled. "I would see it too if it was me. You are the first zombie in this doomsday who can hold a knife and ride a bicycle." Wan Qiushu snorted coldly. "If they see me killing people, they will definitely not dare to look at me like this." He did not continue to speak, but carefully paid attention to the surroundings. Because it was a bit close to the vegetable market now, although there were still no zombies on the road. After thinking about it, he turned on the scan directly, and the surrounding situation was instantly presented. There were some green dots on the upper floors on both sides, and it was obvious that there were still people alive. However, it was a bit strange that there were only 2 green dots and 1 red dot in a house. Wan Qiushu also saw this scene and couldn't help asking, "Did we encounter a pervert?" He was stunned for a moment and didn't react. "What pervert?" Wan Qiushu explained. "It's the kind of pervert who keeps zombies as pets and maybe even catches living people to feed them." After she finished speaking, she got goosebumps all over her body. He nodded. "Maybe, or maybe their family members turned into zombies and they couldn't bring themselves to do it, so they locked them up." Because the 2 green dots and the red dot were very close, the zombie must have been restricted in its movements, otherwise it would have eaten the 2 people long ago. Wan Qiushu nodded. "I think the latter possibility is more likely. By the way, where is the electrical appliance store you mentioned?" He looked at the scene in front of him and then said, "Go to the next intersection, then turn right, and you can see the electrical appliance store not far inside." Wan Qiushu sped up after hearing this and soon found the electrical appliance store. Go forward from the electrical appliance store, then turn left and enter the vegetable market area, which is full of various food stores, such as fast food restaurants, fruit stores, cake shops and the like. Opposite the electrical appliance store, there are 2 wholesale stores, and you can see a lot of rice and flour and other food in them. And here, there are also zombies in 2s and 3s. It is not known whether it is because the distance is too far, so the stench of the claw zombies did not come over, or because there are high level zombies here that restrict their movements and prevent them from leaving. However, when those zombies saw Wan Qiushu, they did not dare to pounce on him, but retreated. Wan Qiushu parked the car on the side of the road and walked directly into the electrical appliance store. The electrical appliance store may not sell food, and there are usually not many customers, so the goods inside are arranged neatly. While Wang Qiushu was looking for a juicer, he said, "Should we come over to move some things? The food from the two stores across the street alone will be enough for us to eat for half a year. I don't know if there is any food in the vegetable market. If there is, we won't be short of food for a long time." He thought for a while and said, "No, you find the juicer and we will leave here immediately." Wang Qiushu was puzzled. Why? At this time, he suddenly said, "Look to the right." I saw a zombie that was wandering outside the door, staggering towards the vegetable market. Wang Qiushu frowned. "It's nothing. Don't zombies wander around all day?" He sighed. "Zombies wander in a regular way, and generally they won't leave a place unless they are attracted by something. Moreover, there are several zombies outside the door, but only he was attracted there. Don't you think it's weird?" Wang Qiushu shuddered and immediately sped up the search. The zombies they have seen so far are generally physically strengthened. Who knows if there will be other special types of zombies. She didn't want to be lured over in a daze and become food for other zombies. At this time, he reminded, "Squat down and look at the one in the lower right corner. Is it a juicer?" Wang Qiushu picked up the appliance and nodded. "Yes, it's a juicer, but it's so small. Are you sure it can be used?" He replied, "I don't know. I'll tell you after I modify it. Let's go back first. This place is too weird." You know, he has been scanning, but only some ordinary zombies were scanned, and no advanced zombies appeared. Combined with the weird behavior of the zombie just now, it's even more terrifying. Moreover, until now, the zombie has not come back. Obviously it is different from the usual wandering. However, he didn't know how far into the vegetable market. The scanning range is limited, and he can't let Wang Qiushu go any further. Wang Qiushu nodded and walked out of the appliance store quickly. At this moment, she suddenly stopped and said, "Did you hear it?" He was silent for a while. "It sounds like a crossbow or an arrow. However, if it was a human, how did he lure the zombies over?" Wang Qiushu shook his head repeatedly. "Forget it. Let's go first. This place is really too weird. We will come back when we reach level 3. He replied, "Okay." Wang Qiushu rode on the bicycle, holding the juicer, and glanced at the rice and noodles opposite. "Wait for me. I will definitely come back." Chapter 102 Zombie Juicer. Wang Qiushu held the handlebars in one hand and the juicer and the soul-breaking knife in the other. She had just learned how to ride a bicycle, so she was not very skilled. She rode crookedly, and her speed was much slower. When passing by the house with zombies, Wang Qiushu suddenly heard a baby voice saying, "Sister, there is a sister riding a bicycle on the road outside." She turned her head curiously. There was a short-haired little girl on the windowsill on the 3rd floor. She looked about 4 or 5 years old. She must have stepped on a stool, so just her head was exposed. Her face was dirty, and she probably hadn't washed her face for a long time. Her hair was a little sticky, but her eyes were very bright and energetic. Seeing Wang Qiushu's eyes, the little girl said again, "That sister's eyes are the same as grandpa's." Then, a pair of white hands suddenly stretched out from behind and quickly carried the little girl away. He also saw this scene, and then reminded, "You'd better hurry up, otherwise you won't make it in time." Hearing this, Wang Qiushu quickly sped up. He pedaled hard until the pedals almost flew off, and finally he successfully returned to the building. He took the juicer, and then cancelled the transformation. It's up to it next. Wang Qiushu sat next to him, and he didn't have the strength to sit still. "Should we go help them?" He was still looking at the juicer, and said without turning his head, "Who?" Wang Qiushu said directly, "That little girl." He shook his head. Wang Qiushu said again, "She's just a child. She's no threat to us. And her face is so thin, she must have not eaten for a long time." He sighed and looked back at Wang Qiushu. "First of all, she is not the only one left. She has a sister and a grandfather who has become a zombie. We don't know who her sister is. And what about her grandfather? Are we going to live with a zombie in the future?" Wang Qiushu opened his mouth, not knowing what to say. He continued to look at the juicer, which was about the size of an electric kettle with a lid that could be opened. Put the things that need to be squeezed into it, then turn on the power and press the button, and it will become juice. The problem is, this is a juicer, and what comes out in the end is juice. Where can he find something to hold the juice? Even if he can use a bucket, by then a bucket of highly concentrated black liquid with a rancid smell, I'm afraid that all the zombies in the city will run here, which is scary to think about. So, he asked directly in his mind, is this juicer reliable? How to deal with the juice? System. The upgraded juicer only squeezes the corpse, and does not squeeze out the juice, but leaves a piece of virus crystal, just like the one extracted by the water purifier. He nodded. Why didn't you say it earlier? If you had said it earlier, I wouldn't have to upgrade the water purifier. Wouldn't it be better to upgrade the juicer directly? System. The water purifier separates the virus from the water, and will flow out clean water. The juicer only squeezes juice. Even if you put water in, it will squeeze out the water and there will be no water in the end. He was speechless. Although he didn't know how to squeeze water, he understood what the system meant. Anyway, if you want water, you can only use a water purifier. Come to think of it, after squeezing the corpse, even if it can be used to purify water, he can't drink it. He nodded and said, then upgrade the juicer. System. Ding. Deduct 50 experience points. The zombie juicer upgrade has been completed. The expected light flashed, but did not appear. He only felt that he blinked, and the juicer changed. However, he picked up the juicer in front of him. System. Are you tricking me again? The juicer in front of him looked no different from before, except that the power cord was removed. Oh, a few buttons on it have been changed. Just like that, he was charged 50 experience points. System. This is the upgraded zombie juicer. Please explore and use it by yourself. He just felt so sad that he actually believed the system's nonsense and lost 50 experience points in vain. Wan Kyushu took the juicer curiously. It looks no different from before. Is it also solar powered? He covered his chest and said distressedly, it should be. Wan Kyushu took the juicer to the windowsill to bask in the sun. Then let's charge it first. He nodded and said, I may need to borrow your soul-breaking sword later. Such a small juicer may need to be chopped up before it can be squeezed. Wan Kyushu suddenly felt a chill. Then you be careful, I won't be watching. That scene was scary to think about. I don't know if the security zombie will leave a psychological trauma. He nodded. As long as there is no high level zombie that suddenly runs out, there should be no problem. After resting well, he estimated that the zombie juicer was almost charged, so he went downstairs with the soul-breaking sword and the juicer. Of course, he was not stupid enough to climb the stairs, so he naturally let Wan Kyushu take him down after transforming. Then, Wan Kyushu went back. He then untransformed, dragged a corpse over, and prepared to take action. The clawed zombies above can continue to attract the zombies, and also form a deterrent. I believe that, if the zombies above level 2 want to come, they have to consider whether they will be killed here. When the security zombie saw him appear, he did not do anything excessive. After all, he was an old acquaintance. Therefore, the security zombie just looked at him curiously, wondering what he was going to do with the corpse. The soul-breaking knife is now in a short-handle state, which is more convenient to hold. He raised his hand and the knife fell, and a severed hand appeared in his hand in an instant. The security zombie trembled, and slowly turned around. This human is too scary. Not only did he kill the zombies, but he also wanted to dismember them. He took off the cloth on his hand, then opened the lid of the juicer, put his hand in, and pressed the switch. A noisy sound rang out, the juicer began to shake, and the severed hand began to rotate inside. Then the appearance of the severed hand gradually became unclear, and some black liquid began to appear on the wall of the juicer, and then was stirred to condense in the middle. The security zombie didn't want to watch, but the sound kept drilling into his ears. Out of curiosity, he took a look out of the corner of his eye. Just one look, and the security zombie's body suddenly shook like a sieve. It's okay for this human to dismember the body. After all, they zombies will even eat the corpses of their own kind. But this human actually squeezed the juice. Is he going to drink it as a drink? The security zombie began to feel lucky that the security booth was strong enough to protect him. Chapter 103, Enlarged Juicer. When the juicer stopped, the severed hand inside had disappeared, leaving only a thin piece of black object, the same as the one left after purifying the water. This should be the virus crystal. However, the virus crystals extracted from such a severed hand are more than the previous ones combined. It seems that the concentration of zombie virus contained in the rainwater is not high. Of course, it is also possible that the zombie virus has been multiplied after entering the human body. Then the virus in the zombie body reaches a certain level before it can enter the next level. This also explains why zombies are so keen on these zombie viruses. I just don't know if Wang Qiushu can upgrade faster if he eats this zombie virus. After thinking about it, he gave up the idea. Anyway, killing zombies can also upgrade now, so there is no need to use this method. Moreover, what if such a smelly thing gets his stomachache? Besides, if Wang Qiushu eats it and really becomes a zombie, it will be too late for him to regret it. He took out the glass box he brought before, took the black object out of the juicer, and put it in. Because he was wearing a mask, he didn't smell anything. As soon as the two black objects touched, they merged into one. He shook his head and continued to work. At the same time, he was also paying attention to the situation around him. He didn't want to be attacked and capsized. Soon, the upper body of the zombie was dealt with. When it came to the lower body, he was in a dilemma. This zombie was a male, but he still didn't want to see something that was not suitable for children, for fear that he would be too sick to eat. After all, most zombies couldn't eat anything, and they were basically in a state of skin and bones, just like dried bacon. At this time, the system suddenly said, the juicer has a function of enlarging. It only needs to be enlarged to fit the whole body in. He was stunned for a while. System, you did it on purpose, didn't you? You hid beside and watched me chop for a long time, and now you come to remind me? Come on, stick your head over here, I'll give you a buff, and then put you in the juicer to see if it's a pile of shit. System, this system is extremely smart, so it won't squeeze out a pile of shit, but the host, it's not necessarily the same. He bent down. The system asked, host, what's wrong? I was right. Are you embarrassed? He gritted his teeth. I was so angry at you that my liver hurts. System, then do you need medicine? There are healing medicines in the mall, which can cure any injury. Although level 1 healing medicines are cheap, I personally recommend level 2 healing medicines. After all, you get what you pay for. He took a deep breath, then stood up. Get lost. The system immediately fell silent. He looked at the juicer and found a button on it that said large/small, so he pressed it. With a swish, the juicer really grew bigger, almost as big as a washing machine. He directly dragged up the half body, opened the lid, and threw it in. Because he was angry with the system, he even forgot to take off the pants of the corpse. It was not until he pressed the start button that he reacted, but now he couldn't stop it. He shook his head and thought, forget it, if it broke, at most he would spend some experience points to let the system fix it. However, it might be because the juicer became bigger, or the corpse was too big and the power was not enough to squeeze juice. In short, it was only a very small sound before, and it might not be heard outside the community. But now the sound is boom boom boom, which can be heard far away. The security zombies didn't dare to look at it anymore, but when they heard the sound, they couldn't help but take a look. As a result, they only saw an oversized juicer, and they could vaguely see the shape of pants inside. So, it was because the juicer just now was too small and the juice squeezed out was not good enough. So this human changed to such a big juicer and threw a whole corpse into it to squeeze juice. The security zombie squatted down in fear. He would not look at it, even if he was killed. It was too scary. He did not want to be stuffed in it. This time, the juicing took a little longer. When he stopped, the pants inside were fine, but he could not see how many virus crystals were squeezed out. He opened the lid directly, and the pants were lying inside intact. He took the pants out, and there was a slightly larger black object lying underneath. At this time, a brick-like object suddenly fell out from a hole next to it. He had not noticed the hole before, but now he saw that it was written residue outlet. It immediately became clear that this hole should be what was left after the corpse was completely squeezed dry. Half of the corpse was left with this little. However, this thing might be used as fertilizer. After thinking about it, he threw the brick into the flower bed next to him. His potatoes and sweet potatoes must be green food, but he dared not use this kind of thing as fertilizer. It would be bad if there were still residual zombie viruses in it. Then, he picked up another corpse and prepared to put it into the juicer. With the experience just now, he knew that it was okay not to take off his clothes. This was much easier. Otherwise, if he took off the clothes of some female zombies, Wan Kyushu would definitely think he was a pervert. However, when he just lifted the corpse, he suddenly found a zombie at the door. Based on his experience for so long, he could tell at a glance that it was a level 1 zombie. It seemed that it was either attracted by the corpse of the claw zombie or the virus crystal. He did not act rashly. At this time, some small movements might attract the attention of the other party, or even directly attack. The zombie outside the door first looked up at the claw zombie above. A trace of desire flashed in his eyes, and he unconsciously stretched out his tongue to lick the corner of his mouth. Then, he looked at Li Wending, who was standing there. He didn't expect that there was an unexpected gain. However, what the zombie couldn't understand was that the person in front of him was obviously a human. So why was he holding the corpse of a zombie? Could it be that this human also likes to eat zombies? Just like they like to eat people. This zombie had just been upgraded to level 1 not long ago, so he didn't understand many things. In addition, when he was a human, his brain didn't work very well, so he couldn't figure it out. However, it didn't matter if he couldn't figure it out. It was just a human. The zombie just poked its head into check, ready to retreat if anything went wrong. After all, the zombie hanging on it was a level 2 zombie. It was obviously not easy to kill a level 2 zombie. Chapter 104, Scared Away. However, when the zombie saw that there was only one human inside, he suddenly changed his mind. He stood out with his whole body and then stood there for a few seconds pretending to be scared, waiting to see the fearful expression on the face of the human opposite, and then walked in step by step and killed the human. At this time, Wan Kyushu was running down from the upstairs, muttering to herself, "Hold on a little longer, hold on a little longer." She just flew up, thinking that even if there were zombies coming, they would be ordinary zombies at most, but who knew that a level 1 zombie would come? Even if it was just the weakest level 1 zombie, it was not something an ordinary person could beat. Now, she only hoped that the ordinary zombie was one of those with strong skin and bones. If it was a speed type or something else, Li Wending would probably be in danger. The zombie outside the door did not see the imagined scene, and there was a little disappointment in his eyes. However, he still raised his head slightly, raised his feet and walked in, and deliberately slowed down his pace to create some pressure on the human. Just after taking 2 steps, the zombie saw the security booth next to him out of the corner of his eye. The security zombie poked his head out slightly, looked at Li Wending carefully, then looked at the zombie outside the door, stretched out his palm, and waved it left and right desperately, signaling the zombie to run. The zombie outside the door stood still, then frowned at the security zombie. "Little brother, what's wrong with you? Do you want to eat so many corpses and this human alone? Can you, an ordinary zombie, eat so much? Besides, I'm a level 1 zombie. Do I need to listen to you, an ordinary zombie? If it gets out, will I still be able to survive?" Thinking of this, the zombie outside the door took 2 more steps inside. The security zombie was so anxious that his palm was waving so much that his shadow was almost invisible. He didn't want to save this zombie out of kindness, but mainly because the human inside was too cruel. He was afraid that the human would not be satisfied after killing the level 1 zombie outside the door, and would kill him as well. Li Wending watched the zombies outside the door approaching step by step. His pupils shrank slightly. However, he knew that the more panicked he was at this time, the more vulnerable he would be to zombie attacks. Moreover, with his reaction and speed, it was impossible for him to survive in the hands of a level 1 zombie. He regretted not upgrading his armor at this time, otherwise he could hold on for a while and wait for Wan Kyushu to arrive. After thinking about it, he picked up the body in his hand and put it into the juicer next to him. If he directly dropped the body to get the soul-breaking sword, the action would definitely be slower, so he put the body into the juicer first. The zombies outside the door looked at Li Wending's actions and were a little strange. Why did humans put the body into a washing machine? Were they going to pack it up and take it away? Thinking of this, he couldn't help but speed up a little. Seeing this scene, the security zombie completely gave up treatment. It was over. It was over. After putting the body in, Li Wending subconsciously closed the lid and pressed the switch. The body began to turn in the juicer, making a booming sound. Li Wending looked at his hands, wondering what he was doing. At such an urgent moment, he should have raced against time to pick up the soul-breaking sword. So why did he still have the mind to start the juicer? The zombies outside the door no longer looked at Li Wending, but at the juicer. The crazy rotation reminded him of the juicer, and he could see a trace of black liquid being thrown out during the rotation. So, is this human preparing to squeeze the zombies and drink the juice? That's too cruel, right? And the level 2 corpses above, are they used to lure him over? No wonder there are so many corpses lying on the ground. Are they all prepared for juice? He took a breath of cold air and turned to look at the security zombie. He understood why the security zombie had been signaling him to leave just now. The security zombie was about to cry, and now he understood. Isn't it a little too late? At this time, Li Wending bent down again, looking like he was going to move the corpse, but in fact he picked up the soul-breaking sword on the ground. With the knife in hand, he felt more confident. At least he had a little bit of strength to resist. He slowly raised his head and looked at the zombie outside the door. The zombie outside the door felt his heartbeat stop for a beat. Could it be that this human really wanted to come and kill him? He remembered that the ingredients must be fresh to be the most original. Could it be that this human was going to kill him directly and then use him to make juice? Or, not killing him, but putting the whole thing in to make juice? The more he thought about it, the more scared he became, and his legs began to shake unconsciously. No wonder he didn't see a single zombie on the way here. Now it seems that they must have been killed by this human to make juice. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but retreat to the door. Seeing this, the security zombie looked at Li Wending carefully and gently knocked on the glass of the security booth. Wait a minute, take me with you. A trace of doubt flashed in Li Wending's eyes. His body had been tense and ready for battle, so why did the zombie leave? Or maybe, the zombie wanted to use him to relax his vigilance? Suddenly, his eyes became more terrifying, staring at the zombies outside the door, ready to attack. When the zombies outside the door saw Li Wending's eyes, they felt a murderous aura coming at them, and their speed of retreating immediately increased. However, he did not dare to move too much, lest Li Wending would come and kill him directly. At this time, Wang Qiushu rushed out breathlessly, swinging the hammer of the earth. Here I come. The zombies outside the door saw that there was an ambush. It must be very uncomfortable to be hit by such a big hammer. And seeing that he wanted to run, he rushed out directly, obviously not wanting to let him go. So, he immediately turned around and rushed out the door. That speed was almost catching up with the claw zombie, and he disappeared outside the door in a swish. Wang Qiushu rushed to Li Wending's side and stopped. I was scared to death. By the way, why did he run away suddenly? He shook his head. I don't know. Maybe he was scared away by you. Wang Qiushu frowned. I didn't transform. It shouldn't be. Or did I look scary just now? He took out the virus crystals in the juicer. Maybe you killed so many zombies, and there is a murderous aura on your body. Wang Qiushu didn't wear a mask. When he smelled the rotten smell, he quickly stood aside. Forget it. Never mind. I'll stay here with you. Fortunately, the zombie didn't rush over directly, otherwise we would be finished now. He nodded, and he was also scared. Then, he took out another mask and handed it to Wang Qiushu. Chapter 105, Speculations at the Vegetable Market. Afterwards, after working for most of the day, they finally finished dealing with the pile of corpses. Seeing that it was getting late, the two simply went back. When passing by the security booth, Wang Qiushu wondered, why do I feel that the security zombie is more afraid of you than me? He frowned. Really? Why don't I feel that? Wang Qiushu waved his hand. Maybe I felt it wrong, but it's a pity that no zombie came over and there was no chance to attack. He nodded. It seems that all the zombies nearby have been killed by us. Wang Qiushu asked, then where should we go next? Go to the vegetable market? I'm really curious about what kind of zombies are there. He smiled. I see you are greedy for the rice, noodles and other food in the wholesale store. Wan Qiushu said righteously, of course, with so much food, if we stockpile it, we won't have to worry about food for a long time. Besides, if we don't move it early, we might be emptied by the survivors in the buildings on both sides like those fast food restaurants below. He shook his head. It's not that easy. They were able to empty these stores because we lured the zombies away and killed them. And there are several zombies wandering outside the electrical appliance store alone. Unless they can get rid of those zombies, they can move around at will. Wan Qiushu asked doubtfully, aren't zombies very sensitive to sound? They can lure away the zombies by making some noise, and then they can move around at will. He was silent for a while, and then said, we hung the bodies of the claw zombies so high, theoretically the zombies there would also be attracted here, but they just didn't move where they were, so they are very likely controlled by high-level zombies. Wan Qiushu was still puzzled, but zombies don't need to eat, so why do they guard those stores? He thought for a while, zombies don't need to eat, but people do. Wan Qiushu frowned. I still don't quite understand. Explain it in more detail. He explained. Do you still remember the zombie that was lured away? And the strange sound at the back? Wan Qiushu nodded. I remember. What does it have to do with this? He sighed. This is just my guess. For so long, we have encountered some simple zombies. There are some who can use weapons, but at most they can only use a knife. And things like crossbows are still relatively difficult to operate. Wan Qiushu responded, I know this. Crossbows are better. Bows need training to use. Ordinary people can't shoot accurately, and it's good enough to be able to shoot the arrow smoothly. But, maybe that zombie was a crossbow enthusiast. He went on, even if that's the case, the high-level zombies can lure the ordinary zombies over. Is it still necessary to use crossbows? Let alone level 3 zombies, even if they are level 1, it will only take a while to deal with ordinary zombies. Wan Qiushu nodded, that makes sense. But there may not be level 3 zombies there. I haven't felt anything unusual for so long there. He thought for a moment, maybe it's because you were wearing a mask at the time, so it blocked out some other things. It's also possible that the level 3 zombie didn't dare to attack you easily, perhaps due to some restrictions. Besides, controlling a low-level zombie is always much simpler than controlling a level 2 zombie. Wan Qiushu asked, but what does this have to do with what you just said? He continued, according to our previous speculation, there is a level 3 or above zombie in there with a strange ability to lure low-level zombies over. However, the crossbow is not used by zombies, which means that there are living people in there. Wan Qiushu was shocked. Living people? What kind of living people can survive under high-level zombies? Or does that living person have some powerful superpowers? He shook his head. I don't know either, but obviously, that living person and the high-level zombie are in a cooperative relationship. The high-level zombies lure ordinary zombies over, and the living people shoot them with crossbows, and then the high-level zombies will eat the corpses. Wan Qiushu suddenly realized, that is to say, those foods are eaten by that living person, so he won't let others move them away. We don't have to worry about it. We can just move them when we need them. Anyway, that living person can't beat us. He sighed. It would be great if it was that simple. Wan Qiushu was stunned. Is there anything else I don't know? He continued. There is a lot of food in the vegetable market. If that group of people's family already runs a store, or if they really cooperate with the high-level zombies, they won't have to worry about food. Moreover, we all know the importance of hoarding food. If a living person can get so much food, he will definitely move it home instead of leaving it there. Wan Qiushu thought for a while. Maybe the living person can't get out. After all, what I said just now was just your guess. He sighed. I also hope it's just my guess, otherwise it would be too scary. Wan Qiushu asked, then what is your guess? He was silent for a while before saying, just like we use the corpse of the claw zombie as bait to attract all the zombies around. What if the food is also bait? Wan Qiushu frowned. But zombies kill people to eat people. Why do people kill people? There is no need for everyone to have any hatred or grudges. He said, remember what I said just now. There is a cooperative relationship between living people and high-level zombies. Living people help high-level zombies hunt ordinary zombies. So, it is possible that living people hunt people to feed the high level zombies. Or, it is just for the pleasure of killing prey. After all, it is the end of the world now, and killing is not against the law. Wang Qiuyushu suddenly felt a chill. After you said that, I suddenly felt so terrified. Doesn't that mean that the survivors we saw earlier may also die there? Should we go and notify them? He shook his head. It's useless. It's good enough that you don't get thrown things in zombie form, not to mention listening to you. In a normal state, those people would only think that you wanted to take all the food for yourself, and they would not believe you. Wang Qiuyushu was silent immediately. He added, but in the short term, nothing should happen. After all, they just raided those fast food restaurants, and they will probably be able to eat for a while. Wang Qiuyushu breathed a sigh of relief. The two of them happened to return to the building at this time, and Wang Qiuyushu went up directly, and he wore a mask and gloves, and threw the body of the gossipy woman into the juicer. Chapter 106. The next target. After eating and taking a shower, Wang Qiuyushu was lying on the bed reading a novel. With the expansion of the scope of development, there were many more cars, and the mobile phone could be charged directly when it ran out of power. He was looking at the black object. After squeezing so many corpses, the virus crystal had become much larger. Wang Qiuyushu glanced at him. Do you want to catch a zombie and try it? Maybe this is a panacea for zombies, and they can upgrade directly after eating it. You can cut off his hands and feet in advance. In that case, the upgrade task will be much easier. He put the glass box aside. Forget it. I squeezed so many corpses to get this little. I can't bear to squander it like that. Besides, this thing may be of great use in the future. Wang Qiuyushu was puzzled. What great use can it have? He smiled. For example, use it as bait. I believe the effect of this is better than the corpse of a level 2 zombie. Wang Qiuyushu frowned. What if some high-level zombies are attracted here? He chuckled. Isn't that better? Wait until they fight, and then we can reap the benefits. Wang Qiuyushu nodded. That's a way. Speaking of high-level zombies, should we move to another place to live? The community below has been cleared by us, and it is close to the vegetable market. The most important thing is that the high-speed rail zombies next to it are always a time bomb. He sighed. At least the high-speed rail zombies are not taking any action now. We are still some distance away from the high-speed rail, so we should be able to escape in time. Moreover, with the high-speed rail zombies here, there is at least a deterrent, and other zombies dare not come here easily. If we move down, we may be blocked by other zombies. Wang Qiuyushu thought for a while. It's true. Since we killed all the zombies nearby, no other zombies dare to come here. He smiled. So, let's stay under the protection of the high-speed rail zombies first, and develop slowly. Moreover, with the high-speed rail zombies here, we don't have to look for targets everywhere when we want to complete the task of upgrading to level 3. Wang Qiuyushu asked puzzledly, but, can't we get up? He picked up the glass box containing the zombie virus. Did you forget this? Wang Qiuyushu clapped his hands. Yes, with this thing, I'm afraid the high-speed rail zombies will jump down directly. It's so high, and he will be knocked half to death directly. It will be much easier for us to deal with him then. He continued, we can even attract a large number of zombies to beat him up. Wang Qiuyushu frowned. Low-level zombies shouldn't dare to attack high-level zombies. He looked at the black virus crystal. That depends on how attractive this crystal is to zombies. Wang Qiuyushu asked again, where should we go next? He thought for a while. Isn't there a residential area down there? Let's clear out the zombies in that residential area first, and then clear all the nearby factories. By then, we should be able to upgrade. Wang Qiuyushu nodded. There should be no zombies above level 3 in the residential area. I wonder if there are any in the factories? He said directly. There are some small factories nearby. A few hundred people are enough, and there can't be thousands of people, so there's no need to worry about raising level 3 zombies. Wang Qiuyushu smiled. Okay, let's clear out all the zombies nearby first, and then kill the high-speed rail zombie to upgrade. When we reach level 3, we shouldn't be afraid of the zombie in the vegetable market. By the way, do you think the zombie in the vegetable market is a level 4 zombie? He shook his head. No, for a level 4 zombie, how many level 3 zombies must be killed? Even if you can upgrade by eating, it will take 10,000 to reach level 4. Wang Qiaiyushu agreed. Okay, when the time is right, we will go to the vegetable market to see what kind of zombie is in it. If it is easy to kill, just kill it. He nodded. That's it for now. Wang Qiaiyushu said, by the way, do you want to upgrade a set of armor? In a situation like today, if you have a set of armor, you can at least hold on for a while. Moreover, the level of zombies we will encounter in the future will be higher, and it will be very dangerous if you don't have a set of armor. He looked at the experience value, and there were only 140 points left. He thought about it, and shook his head. I'd better not upgrade for the time being. Today is a special situation. I usually hide in a safe place, and the probability of danger is not high. Wang Qiaiyushu insisted, no matter how safe the place is, it will be useless if you encounter a high-level zombie. He sighed. If I encounter a high-level zombie, even if I wear protective gear, it won't be of much use, so there is no need for the time being. Let's kill more zombies in 2 days. Wang Qiaiyushu had to say, okay then. He nodded, then exchanged for a powerful pill and took it. The most urgent thing was to have the time first, and the rest could be put aside. After taking this, the time reached 8 minutes, which was 1 minute longer than Wang Qiaiyushu's transformation time. However, there were only 40 points of experience left, and this little experience had to be kept as a backup, just in case. So it's not easy to be a Krypton Gold Warrior. But it doesn't matter, as long as you keep killing zombies, you can get more experience. Wang Qiaiyushu saw him taking drugs and asked quickly, are you injured? These drugs all look similar, and the last time he took drugs, Wang Qiaiyushu happened to fall asleep, so he didn't know about the powerful pill. He shook his head. No, this is not a healing medicine, this is a powerful pill, used to increase time. Wang Qiaiyushu didn't know what he was thinking of, and blushed as he cursed, you bastard. He was a little confused. He was right. This was indeed used to increase time. How did he become a bastard? Wang Qiaiyushu didn't say anything else, but lay down on the bed. After a while, she got up again, and put the hammer of the earth in a handy place. He was stunned for a moment. What do you mean? Wang Qiaiyushu snorted coldly, guess. He thought about it, then explained, you misunderstood. That is used to increase the transformation time. The longer the transformation time, the more beneficial it is for us. Wang Qiaiyushu said oh, and then silently put the hammer of the earth a little further away. He didn't say anything more, and lay down on the bed. Although he didn't need to control Wang Qiaiyushu's body now, he was always watching. He was equivalent to another pair of eyes for Wang Qiaiyushu, paying attention to the dangers that Wang Qiaiyushu didn't see. At the same time, he was also responsible for guiding Wang Qiaiyushu's movements, so that Wang Qiaiyushu could learn to use the simplest movements to cause the greatest lethality. Chapter 107 Zombies Escape. The next morning, the two rode their bicycles down the street. When they arrived at the community they had visited yesterday, they took a look inside. Only the security zombie was left standing alone in the security booth. Since there were no corpses inside, no new zombies were attracted. In order to save time, and because the area was very safe, Wang Qiaiyushu did not transform. Even so, when the security zombie saw the two of them, he silently turned his head and stood still, pretending that he had not seen anything. Wang Qiaiyushu laughed and said, this security zombie is really fun, but it's a pity that he can't speak, otherwise I really want to ask him why he is so afraid of us too. He thought for a while, maybe he can actually speak, but he has been pretending, just because he is worried that we will torture him. Wang Qiaiyushu nodded repeatedly, it's possible. At this time, he parked the car at the entrance of the community and pointed to the opposite side. The community I am talking about is over there. I won't go over there. You just transform and ride your bicycle over there. Wang Qiaiyushu nodded. Then remember to hide well. Don't let anything happen. He said then helped Wang Qiaiyushu transform, and then went upstairs. Wang Qiaiyushu rode his bicycle, crossed an intersection, and headed straight to the opposite side. At this time, there was a level 1 zombie wandering at the gate of the community opposite. The zombie was originally just an ordinary zombie, and then by chance it was upgraded to level 1, so its IQ was also a bit higher. The zombies in the community were all kept in captivity by a level 2 zombie as food, so they would not be allowed to escape at all. Yesterday, he took advantage of the morning when the level 2 zombie was not awake, secretly climbed over the outer wall and escaped. As soon as he came out, he smelled a fragrance, so he followed the fragrance. Then, he happened to see Li Wending squeezing juice, and he was so scared that he ran back quickly. However, he was naturally not stupid enough to go back to the community, but just wandered at the gate. With the breath of the level 2 zombie, he would not be attacked by other zombies. The zombie paced back and forth, and when he turned around, he saw a figure approaching quickly on a bicycle. He couldn't help but rub his hands excitedly. There was actually food delivered to the door, whether it was human or zombie. After all, he is a level 1 zombie. As long as the opponent is not a level 2 zombie or above, he still has a chance. At this time, he accidentally saw a hammer and frowned. Why is this hammer a little familiar? It seems that he has seen it before. The next second, he suddenly woke up. Isn't this hammer the one that the woman swung yesterday? Although he didn't see the man who squeezed the juice, can an ordinary person dare to chase the zombies with a hammer? He retreated again and again. As Wang Qiushu got closer and closer, he could feel the breath of Wang Qiushu. Level 2 zombie. It's actually a level 2 zombie. Is it not going to let him go? Thinking of this, he turned around and ran without any hesitation. The speed was extremely fast, which was really comparable to the claw zombie. Wang Qiushu rode slowly closer. That zombie looks familiar. Li Wending smiled. It seems to be the one from yesterday. Wang Qiushu wondered, why is he running? He thought for a moment. I don't know, maybe he sensed your presence. Wang Qiushu smiled. Should we chase him? Although it's just a level 1 zombie, even a mosquito leg is still meat. He said directly, forget it. With his running speed, it will probably take some time to catch up. There's no need. Wang Qiushu nodded, looking at the back of the zombie. I have to say, he runs really fast. He replied, he can be compared to a professional player. Wang Qiushu parked his bicycle by the door at this time. The door was a pair of Western style iron doors, and the zombies wandering inside could be seen through the gap in the middle. However, the door was locked at this time. He swung the hammer of the earth. Do you think we should sneak in? He said directly, just smash it. The level 2 zombies inside will definitely know you are coming. Wang Qiushu thought about it and swung the hammer of the earth to smash the door. Bang! The door opened. After the hammer of the earth became bigger, although it only increased the lethality to zombies, it was still very easy to use it to smash these things. After all, the size was there. All the zombies stopped and looked at Wang Qiushu standing at the door. Wang Qiushu then switched to the long-handled soul-breaking knife. I'm worried now. These zombies will take the opportunity to run away like the one just now. If that happens, it will be a bit of a loss. He smiled. You should think about how to deal with so many zombies later. Looking at their current state, they are probably going to beat you up. Wang Qiushu frowned. Aren't they scared silly now? He said directly, if they are scared, in addition to their bodies being stiff, they will also tremble unconsciously, especially ordinary zombies. But now these zombies are just standing there looking at you. Obviously they are not scared. Wang Qiushu asked in confusion, is it because of the influence of the level 2 zombie? He replied, it should be. It seems that the level 2 zombie is really capable. This is the first time they have encountered such a level 2 zombie. The previous level 2 zombies all had outstanding personal abilities, and once they met an opponent, they would take the lead. This one is good, just hiding directly, controlling a group of men to take action. Wang Qiushu glanced around and took in the situation in front of him. Have you seen the level 2 zombie? Let's catch the leader first. He also looked along with Wang Qiushu's sight and said, no, it seems that the level 2 zombie is also a cunning old man. If we don't kill these zombies, he won't come out. Wang Qiushu suddenly said, by the way, can your scan work? His main body slapped his head and said, I actually forgot about this. Wait a minute. The next second, the scan was turned on, and the situation of the entire community was in full view. In addition to the ordinary zombies and level 1 zombies in front of him, there were also some zombies hiding in other places, probably waiting for Wang Qiushu to go over before launching a surprise attack. However, it can be seen that there are no zombies in all the buildings. It seems that they have been released by opening the door. At this time, all the zombies are still. Only in the middle, there was a red dot as big as Wang Qiushu, which was moving quickly inside. I don't know if it wants to escape from this community or try to stay away from Wang Qiushu as much as possible and then control the zombies to surround and kill Wang Qiushu. The scan was quickly shut down and Wang Qiushu rushed over with the soul-breaking sword in hand. Don't even think about running away. Chapter 108 Walking A. However, when Wang Qiushu rushed over, the motionless zombies also began to move. They did not follow the level 2 zombie to escape, but ran towards Wang Qiushu. Wang Qiushu shouted, "Don't try to stop me." Then he rushed over without stopping. With these zombies, they were already very powerful if they could tear the skirt of darkness. However, the zombies seemed not to hear it, and there was no fear in their eyes, and they continued to rush forward. The next second, the two sides met. Wang Qiushu raised the soul-breaking knife, raised his hand and fell, and a headless zombie lay on the ground. The zombies paused for a second, as if they did not expect Wang Qiushu to be so powerful, and then rushed over again. Wang Qiushu frowned. She didn't expect these zombies to be really not afraid of death, so don't blame her for being rude. She raised the knife and swept across, ready to kill everyone. A flash of knife light passed by, and the zombie standing in front was cut in half. However, even so, they did not die. The only upper body left was crawling on the ground with difficulty towards Wang Qiushu. The other zombies did not eat the corpses, but still rushed towards Wang Qiushu. Wang Qiushu beheaded the zombie in front with a knife, feeling a little irritated. Because she was held back by these zombies for too long, the level 2 zombie might have already run out of the community. And just such a short pause, the zombies around her rushed over directly, hugged her fearlessly, and prevented her from moving. Wang Qiushu had never suffered such an attack before, and she was suddenly hugged, which made her a little confused. She raised the soul-breaking sword and swung it randomly, but she could only chop the zombies that wanted to pounce on her, but she couldn't get rid of the zombies on her body. I don't know if this zombie has added some strength, and its strength is even greater than her. A level 2 zombie. Wang Qiushu chopped and shouted, "What should I do now?" She knew that Li Wending had been watching, so she hurriedly asked for help. He couldn't bear to watch it anymore, so he just said, "Run." Wang Qiushu continued to hack and slash, and asked, "Where to run?" He was speechless. Why did he get confused again at the critical moment? Run back. Wang Qiushu heard it, but didn't move. Instead, he continued to hack with the soul-breaking sword. He couldn't help asking, "Why don't you run? If you get trapped later, you really can't run away." Now Wang Qiushu at least still has the strength to resist. If he is pressed down by dozens of zombies, let alone running, it would be difficult to even move. Once the transformation time is over, he will be dead. Wang Qiushu chopped the zombie in front of him into two with a knife. "You have nothing now, no weapons, no protective gear, I can't lead them to you." He was stunned for a moment, then said with a smile, "I asked you to run outside the community, not to bring them back." Wang Qiushu blinked his big eyes. "Ah, is that so?" He continued, "Yes, why don't you run quickly?" Wang Qiushu said "Oh," and ran out with his long legs. The zombie was still hanging on her body, and it seemed that he was not going to let go. Wang Qiushu said while running, "But running like this won't get rid of them, and I don't know if the level 2 zombie has already run away." He smiled. "Don't worry, if the level 2 zombie ran away, these zombies wouldn't stop you and prevent you from passing. Don't forget that high-level zombies have a natural suppression on low-level ones. Therefore, they are still controlled, so they are fearless. Moreover, I believe that the distance of this control will definitely not be very far. At least the zombie at the door was not controlled." Wang Qiushu nodded. "Then I'm relieved. Remember to turn on the scan later. Even if I chase him to the ends of the earth, I will kill him." He smiled. "Wait until you deal with these zombies first." Wang Qiushu then asked, "What should I do now?" He said directly, "Stop, turn around, and swing the knife." This time, Wang Qiushu was not confused, and did exactly what he said, and swung the knife subconsciously without even seeing it clearly. The knife flashed, and the zombie who was chasing the closest found himself lying on the ground before he could figure out what was going on. He wanted to run, but found that he couldn't run anymore. Looking back, he saw that there was still half of his body running forward. This time, there was no need to remind him. After Wang Qiushu chopped him, he turned around and continued to run. He smiled and said, "Yes, that's it. Keep increasing the distance, and then chop the one that's chasing you the fastest. But you have to remember, don't run out of the gate of the community." Wang Qiushu turned back and chopped down a zombie again, puzzled. "Why?" he explained. "I just said that it is very likely that the level 2 zombie can only control the range to the gate of the community. Once you run out of the gate, they may not chase you again. What we have to do now is to try our best to clean up these zombies. By then, the level 2 zombie will be left alone. Won't it be easy to deal with it?" Wang Qiushu nodded. "I understand, but what should I do with the zombie on my body? It's like a dog skin plaster. I can't get rid of it, and it also affects my swing of the knife. Otherwise, I don't have to chop their bodies, but directly chop off their heads." He was silent for a while. "I have no choice. You chop first. When the time is almost up, you ride your bike and bring him back, and then we will deal with him." Wang Qiushu sighed. "Okay." Then a chase broke out in the community. Every time the zombies were about to catch up, they would be chopped down by Wang Qiushu. The lower half of the body was everywhere on the ground, and there were also upper half bodies that were still crawling and chasing Wang Qiushu. This scene was almost like a horror movie. He looked at his watch. "It's almost time. Come back." In fact, there was still some time, but in order to prevent accidents, he reserved a little more time. Wang Qiushu nodded and walked out directly. Sure enough, when they were about to reach the gate, the zombie holding her subconsciously wanted to let go and leave. Wang Qiushu naturally noticed it. "Did I let you go?" Then she held the zombie's hand tightly and didn't let go. The zombie struggled desperately. Although he was a little stronger than Wang Qiushu, the difference between the two was not big, so he still couldn't break free. Wang Qiushu rode on the bicycle, holding the soul-breaking knife in her hand, and clamped the zombie and rushed back. In fact, she could have chopped the zombie with a knife just now, but that would have been too easy for him. The remaining zombies stood near the gate of the community and watched her go away. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 109, Wang Qiushu's Counterattack. Soon, Wang Qiushu returned to the previous community. The security zombie trembled all over when he saw Wang Qiushu dragging a zombie in. These two people are getting more and more brutal. They are going to squeeze the zombie alive. Wang Qiushu walked to the previous place and stopped. At this time, he said, "Come up directly. There is still enough time." Wang Qiushu nodded, stretched out his arms, and went up along the previous room. He had been waiting in the room for a long time. The zombie only felt a flash of scenery in front of his eyes, and when he could see things clearly, he was already in a house. He looked around blankly, a zombie and a human. Although he was not controlled by the level 2 zombie after leaving the community, therefore, his body trembled a little under the pressure of Wang Qiushu. However, when he saw Li Wending, he wanted to pounce on him again. Wang Qiushu naturally would not do as he wished. He grabbed his hand and threw him to the ground. At the same time, he stepped on him with his foot. "What should we do next?" The zombie struggled for a while, but still couldn't get away. He looked at Wang Qiushu, then at Li Wending, his eyes full of confusion. Is this zombie talking to this human? When did zombies and humans get along so well? Li Wending looked at the time. The transformation is almost over. Cut off his hands and feet first, and then slowly deal with him. Wang Qiushu nodded, and then the soul-breaking sword flashed, and there were a pair of hands and feet on the ground. At this time, the zombie had no ability to resist. So, he directly cancelled the transformation, and the two of them supported each other, and returned to the next room. After sitting down, Wang Qiushu patted his body with some disgust. "It's a pity that the transformation time is not enough, otherwise I would chop off his hands bit by bit. It's too comfortable now." He hurriedly looked at his hands. Fortunately, he was just supporting Wan Qiushu just now, and didn't do anything out of the ordinary. Wan Qiushu looked at his movements, and couldn't help but smile. Why are you so nervous? By the way, what should we do next? Will the level 2 zombie really not run away because of fear? He thought for a while. That zombie is so timid, it just sensed your presence, and ran away without fighting with you. So, it is possible that he can run away. However, if he runs away, there will be no zombies nearby, and his ability will not be able to be used at all, and he may not be as powerful as some level 1 zombies. Wan Qiushu asked in confusion. But, he is so timid, seeing so many controlled zombies die, will he really not run away? He smiled. Aren't there only a few zombies dead in total? How can there be so many? Wan Qiushu looked at him and reacted quickly. Oh, that's right. The ones at the back were chopped off, but they are not dead yet. But, will he really not find out? He shook his head. Probably not. If he found out, those zombies with only half of their bodies left would not continue to chase you. So, I guess he can only feel whether those zombies are dead or not, but cannot perceive the specific changes of the zombies. Wan Qiushu clapped his hands. Then I know what to do. I will chop all the zombies in half, and make him think that the zombies are not dead yet. In this way, he will not run away, and then we will kill him directly, and catch him off guard. He stared at Wan Qiushu blankly without saying anything. Wan Qiushu looked at his expression. What? Did I say something wrong? Or does this plan not work? He shook his head. This plan is good. I just wonder if the zombies have the function of taking over other people's bodies, and took over your body. Wan Qiushu was stunned. What do you mean? He continued. A normal Wan Qiushu would never think of such a way. Monster, who are you? Wan Qiushu raised his eyebrows, and then rushed over directly. You are calling me stupid in a roundabout way again. I'm going to get angry. He waved his hands repeatedly. You can hear this. You are definitely not Wan Qiushu. The next second, the two fell to the ground. Their eyes met, and their appearances were reflected in each other's pupils, and the air seemed to solidify. At this time, he said, can you get up first? You're pressing me down. A trace of panic flashed in Wan Qiushu's eyes, and he stood up quickly. Why did you fall down just now? He climbed up. My physical strength hasn't recovered yet, and you rushed over directly. How could I resist? Wan Qiushu said oh, and then walked out with the soul-breaking knife. He hurriedly asked, where are you going? He was afraid that she would be upset for a while, and if she ran downstairs and encountered zombies, something might happen. After all, her physical strength had not recovered. Wan Qiushu said without looking back, I'll go deal with the zombies next door. He thought for a while, and asked again, do you want a mask and gloves? Wan Qiushu turned back and just looked at him without saying anything. He took out a mask and gloves directly from his pocket, which he had just exchanged. Wan Qiushu put on the gloves and mask, and then looked at him again before walking out. Fortunately, the soul-breaking knife was sharp enough, so there was no need to worry about the sound of chopping meat and bones next to him. Although he didn't know why he was subconsciously afraid. After a long while, Wan Qiushu came back. Done. Do you want to juice the body? He nodded and walked over with the juicer. As soon as he walked in, he was scared. The zombie's hands and feet were intact, but the body was chopped into pieces. It can be seen that Wan Qiushu wanted to cut him into shreds, but because his knife skills were not very good, there were only a pile of pieces of different sizes on the ground. He threw the body into the juicer and went back to the next room. Are you really okay? The body can be processed again and used to make dumplings. Wan Qiushu looked at him with disgust. If you say that, I will never be able to look directly at dumplings in the future. He was immediately relieved, and was still the foodie he used to be. He added, that zombie seemed to have died tragically. Wan Qiushu glanced at him and snorted. Who told him to hold me tightly, and for so long? I've never been hugged by a man before, and I get angry when I talk about it. He looked at his hands, and quickly put them behind his back. The juicer seems to have stopped. I'll go take a look. After saying that, he ran away. After watching him run away, Wan Qiushu suddenly laughed. Ha, you bully me every day, and finally I bully you back. But wasn't it a bit too much just now? Not long after the security zombie saw the two enter the building, he heard the sound of the juicer again and trembled immediately. Why do zombies have such good hearing? Chapter 110. Kink encircling the pillar. Putting the virus crystals in the juicer into the glass box, he felt a little uneasy. How should he face Wang Qiushu later? He didn't want to end up like this zombie. Just as he was thinking, Wang Qiushu came over. My physical strength has been restored. It's time to deal with the level 2 zombie. He slowly turned around and showed a stiff smile. Yes, is that so? How about taking a rest for a while? Wang Qiushu was puzzled. I've already rested. Resting again won't increase the transformation time. Hurry up, I can't wait to go over and take revenge. He hesitated for a moment, then reminded, I've said it first, what you are going to do next is necessary for transformation, not that I'm deliberately taking advantage of you. Wang Qiushu's face suddenly turned red. Hurry up, don't be fussy. He gritted his teeth and moved closer. After thinking about it, he simply closed his eyes. As long as he couldn't see, he wouldn't be afraid. Wang Qiushu looked at his face getting closer and closer, and suddenly remembered the scene of the two of them looking at each other just now, and then suddenly hugged him. He felt his body tighten, and just as he was about to see what was going on, something came out of his mouth. The next second, Wang Qiushu let go, walked quickly to the windowsill and jumped out, leaving only a sentence, I'm leaving. He then opened his eyes, and touched his lips, which seemed to be quite good. After Wang Qiushu landed, he walked quickly to the gate, then rode his bicycle to the previous community. The security zombie dared not move, looking at Wang Qiushu's murderous look. He knew that another zombie was going to be in trouble. In fact, Wang Qiushu's face was a little red at this time, so she wanted to leave here quickly, to avoid being so embarrassed. Soon, they came to the previous community again. Wang Qiushu put the bicycle directly at the door and rushed in. The zombies with only half of their bodies left on the ground were still wandering, and the other half of their bodies were lying on the ground, and were not eaten. It seems that the level 2 zombies really set special orders for them, not allowing them to kill each other, cannibalize each other, and even not eat the remaining limbs. The other zombies with intact bodies were still wandering around. He glanced at the zombies and reminded them, these zombies are the same ones as before. Those hiding in the dark have not come out yet. Wang Qiushu nodded, took a deep breath, and then walked in. Seeing Wang Qiushu walk in, the zombies looked over again, just like before. However, this time they almost didn't hesitate, and quickly rushed towards Wang Qiushu. Even the half-dead zombies lying on the ground dragged their bodies over with their hands. Wang Qiushu didn't retreat directly, but rushed over directly, looking like she was going to fight to the death. In fact, with her previous experience, she would naturally not rush into the zombie group easily again. And now, she just moved a little closer to leave herself some space to escape. The two sides soon met, and Wang Qiushu swung her knife twice, and suddenly there were two more zombies crawling on the ground. Then, she turned around and ran, without any hesitation. The large group of zombies behind her immediately followed and chased after her, obviously not ready to let Wang Qiushu go. So, Wang Qiushu turned back, and swung her knife while walking. Every time the knife fell, there would be a zombie with only half of its body left on the ground. Due to the indestructible nature of the soul-breaking knife, even a level 1 zombie with a body of iron and steel could not withstand this simple knife. While running, Wang Qiushu suddenly ran into the alley between the buildings. The zombies naturally followed closely behind. Wang Qiushu was standing at the corner. When she heard the sound of running, she swung her knife and chopped, and another zombie fell. Then, she continued to run around the houses. The zombies seemed to have no brains, and continued to chase Wang Qiushu mechanically. So Wang Qiushu ran around the house, and occasionally stopped to wait for the zombies, so as not to run too fast, and catch up with the zombies. He was speechless. This Qinwang around the pillar is pretty good, but are you really not possessed? Wang Qiushu snorted complacently. If I was possessed, I would chop you down first. What do you call this? Qinwang around the pillar, right? It just occurred to me. He reminded, just keep running around here. Don't run to other houses. There are ambushes in other places. If you get attacked from both sides, it will be troublesome. Wang Qiushu was stunned for a moment. Fortunately you reminded me. I was just thinking that it was too boring to keep circling here and was going to change places to continue running. He breathed a sigh of relief. I can now be sure that you are not possessed. Wang Qiaiyushu snorted coldly but didn't say anything else and continued to run and kill. In the end, there were zombies crawling on the ground everywhere and lower bodies scattered on the ground. This scene can only be described as tragic. But those zombies will not die, so it looks particularly weird. Wang Qiaiyushu kicked the zombie that was crawling in front of him away. What should we do next? He thought for a while. Let's go back first. The remaining time is definitely not enough to find the level 2 zombie. And there will be an ambush on the way, which will also delay a lot of time. Wang Qiaiyushu nodded and rode his bicycle back directly. When they returned to the building, the two looked at each other and felt a little awkward for a while. Wang Qiaiyushu coughed lightly, breaking the awkward atmosphere. What should we do next? He sat on a chair to rest. Let's see if we can get rid of the level 2 zombies in one go. Now that the resistance outside has been solved by us, the only ones left are the ambushed zombies and level 2 zombies. Wang Qiaiyushu also sat down. What's so difficult about that? I remember there weren't many ambushed zombies. He shook his head. Did you feel anything when you were chased by those zombies just now? Wang Qiaiyushu frowned and pondered. I didn't feel anything. I just felt it was very easy. They couldn't catch up with me. He smiled. That's right, because the zombies chasing you are just ordinary zombies. There are a few level 1 zombies in the middle, but they are not speed type. They may be made of iron or have strength and other parts of the body. Wang Qiaiyushu's brows relaxed. No wonder. I was wondering why you ran so easily. What do you mean? He nodded. From the scan just now, most of the zombies in ambush are level 1 zombies. Combined with the situation just now, those level 1 zombies are likely to be speed type or have other specialties, so they are used for ambush. Wang Qiaiyushu snorted coldly. Those level 2 zombies are really cunning. Chapter 111. The City's Tricks. After a good rest, Wang Qiaiyushu went to the community again. This time, the two of them did not think about the previous events, so it was not so awkward. When they arrived at the entrance of the community, there were zombies crawling and wandering. When they saw the lower body falling on the ground, they would take a detour. However, when Wang Qiaiyushu stepped in, the zombies turned their heads and looked at Wang Qiaiyushu and then all crawled over. He looked at the scene in front of him. It seems that the level 2 zombie did not leave. I just don't know if he was reluctant to leave or didn't understand the situation here. Wang Qiaiyushu rushed over directly, but when he was close to the zombies, he rushed into the alley next to him. The speed of the zombies climbing up was too slow. After all, they could only rely on their hands, and they had to drag their upper bodies with them. However, they still followed into the alley without hesitation. However, when they went in, they had lost the trace of Wang Qiaiyushu. In fact, after crossing the alley, Wang Qiaiyushu went around to the other side of the house. She held the soul-breaking knife in her mouth, stretched out her hands, and climbed on the 2 houses on the other side of the alley. Then, she jumped on the spot, contracted her hands, and dragged her whole body in the air without making any sound. At this time, he reminded, be careful of ambushes. Since Wang Qiaiyushu entered the community, he has turned on the scan, so the scan of the surroundings is clear. Wang Qiaiyushu can naturally see it, but he is worried that Wang Qiaiyushu will not be able to react, so he warned her. Sure enough, a pair of sharp claws stretched out from the corner of the house. When Wang Qiaiyushu's hand stretched out before, the zombie did not move, but waited until now. The timing is just right. Relying on the sharpness of the claws and the speed of Wang Qiaiyushu's own rush, it will definitely pierce Wang Qiaiyushu. Unexpectedly, Wang Qiaiyushu suddenly let go, and the whole person fell directly to the ground, but the body was still rushing forward. The zombie also happened to rush out, but the claws missed. Wang Qiaiyushu took the soul-breaking knife from his mouth and held it firmly in his hand. Taking advantage of the momentum of the forward charge, the soul-breaking sword slashed through the zombie's body. The claw zombie was about to turn around and continue to attack Wang Qiaiyushu, but found that he had fallen to the ground without knowing when. He couldn't help but shout, "Beautiful." This was done by Wang Qiaiyushu himself, and at such a critical moment. It seems that killing zombies for so long still has some effect. Wang Qiuyushu showed a smug smile on his face, but said, "Keep your voice down, you're almost making me dizzy." He snorted coldly, imitating Wang Qiuyushu's behavior. "You say something mean, but your body is upright." Wang Qiuyushu stomped her feet and said coquettishly, "Don't imitate me." He quickly said, okay, hurry up, it's best to deal with him before the transformation is over." Wang Qiuyushu nodded and continued to move forward. At this time, he suggested, "Actually, you can consider switching to the Earth Hammer." Wang Qiuyushu was puzzled. Why? In terms of attack power, the Earth Hammer is not as good as the soul-breaking sword. He explained, because the Earth Hammer has the ability to lift heavy objects with ease. It is as if there is nothing in your hand. When you encounter a sneak attack, it will not affect your reaction speed. Although the soul-breaking sword is not very heavy, it will still have an impact. In particular, when you encounter speed-type zombies, your speed may not be able to keep up. Wang Qiuyushu nodded and directly switched to the Earth Hammer and used the ability to lift heavy objects with ease. Continue to move forward. Because of the existence of the scanner, no matter how well the zombies hide, they have already been exposed in their eyes. When passing a flower garden, a black shadow rushed out and rushed straight towards Wang Qiuyushu. Wang Qiuyushu was shocked. It was so fast, and he subconsciously swung his hands out at the same time. With a bang, the black shadow was directly smashed into the wall. Wang Qiuyushu had already followed, and the soul-breaking sword that had been switched to cut the level 1 zombie in half. However, even so, the zombie still climbed up much faster than the previous zombie, and followed closely behind Wang Qiuyushu. Wang Qiuyushu stepped forward, feeling very lucky. Although she had been prepared, if she had used the soul-breaking sword instead of the hammer of the earth, she might not have been able to hit the opponent. Once the opponent failed the first time, he would definitely be on guard the second time, and it would be even more difficult to hit him again. Even if he succeeded, it would take a lot of time. Listening to the sound of the zombie dragging his body behind him, Wang Qiuyushu felt annoyed. Don't we really have to kill him? I'm worried that he will attract other zombies in a while, and he's not slow either. It's too annoying to keep following him. He smiled. It's okay, even if other zombies come, they can't catch up with you. As for him, maybe he will be useful later. Wang Qiuyushu nodded. Okay. Then she continued to walk forward. This community is not big, with only more than 30 houses. The scan showed that the level 2 zombie was hiding in a corner of the community, probably ready to run away at any time. Originally, Wang Qiuyushu thought that, since he had found the traces of the level 2 zombie, he could just kill them all the way. If there were any ambushes on the road, he would clear them out. But he did not reject Wang Qiuyushu's plan. Because if the level 2 zombies were killed directly, the remaining zombies would be out of control, especially those level 1 zombies that were ambushed. And if Wang Qiuyushu killed the level 2 zombies first, he would definitely not have time to go back and deal with these level 1 zombies. In addition, there were disabled zombies everywhere here, and those surviving level 1 zombies whose bodies had completely recovered their sanity would probably kill all the other zombies, and then upgrade to a level 2 zombie. Moreover, such level 2 zombies were obviously more troublesome to deal with. Therefore, he suggested that Wang Qiuyushu cut them down, while these level 1 zombies were still being controlled. After all, these level 1 zombies were no longer sensible and did not know how to be afraid, so it was much easier to deal with them, just a matter of one knife. After dealing with the level 2 zombies, the remaining level 1 zombies will not be a big deal. Even if some of them are successfully upgraded to level 2, they will be disabled and much easier to deal with. Therefore, Wang Qiuyushu's current route is to avoid the level 2 zombies and move forward. The purpose is to deal with these ambushed level 1 zombies and wait until the end to find the level 2 zombies. Even if the level 2 zombies escape in the end, it is not a loss to harvest so many level 1 zombies. The hiding level 2 zombie obviously does not know what these two people are thinking. Otherwise he would only say that the city is full of tricks. Chapter 112. This zombie is a bit cowardly. Wang Qiuyushu went forward and killed all the level 1 zombies that were lying in ambush. In the process, she also discovered the benefits of the speed zombie. Because of the existence of the scanner, she knew very well where the zombies were lying in ambush. Therefore, every time she would kick the speed zombie in advance to attract the attention of the ambush zombie. Once the speed zombie was attacked, she would swing the soul-breaking sword. Then, the speed zombie and the ambush zombie, whose upper body was only left after being chopped, stared at each other on the ground. The ambush zombie, "What's wrong with you, little brother?" The speed zombie, "Don't mention it, it's all tears." The ambush zombie, "Why are you still putting your own people?" The speed zombie, "Didn't you stab me just now?" Of course, the above is all Wonky Issue's imagination. Anyway, the speed zombie played a good role as bait along the way. But there were many more scars on his body. Some were bitten, some were smashed, and some were stabbed by claws. He naturally thought about escaping, but he only had the upper body left, so he could only crawl. No matter how fast he couldn't be faster than Wonky Issue. Wonky Issue had put on a mask and gloves before he came, so he didn't feel disgusted. He just grabbed the speed zombie with his hands and continued to move forward. As Wonky Issue approached, the level 2 zombie also felt bad. However, he felt strange. There were obviously many ambushes on the road, and those zombies were still under his control. How did Wonky Issue get here? However, the breath of the zombies of the same level that were getting closer and closer could not be faked. If they were lower in level than him, they would have been controlled by him long ago. For safety reasons, the level 2 zombie climbed directly on the wall and prepared to climb out. Wonky Issue was well prepared. After killing the last level 1 zombie, he rushed to the place where the level 2 zombie was at the fastest speed. No matter what, he couldn't let him run away. The speed zombie caught by Wonky Issue wanted to cry, but had no tears. If he could speak, he would definitely beg Wonky Issue to let him go, even if it was just to put him down. The level 2 zombie had just climbed halfway when he suddenly heard a sound of breaking air behind his head, and he quickly retracted his head. With a pop, half of the speed zombie's body hit the wall and then fell to the ground. The level 2 zombie looked back and saw that Wonky Issue was still some distance away from him. There was still a chance. As long as he climbed out, he could leave here. At that time, even if Wonky Issue chased him, he could control the zombies on the road to block him. When it was safe, he would find a place to hide and continue to develop. Wonky Issue saw that the level 2 zombie was about to run away, so she threw the speed zombie out. However, she didn't expect to hit the level 2 zombie, but just to delay time. If it was easily hit at such a long distance, it would not be a level 2 zombie. While throwing it out, she stretched her hands forward and clung to the wall. The next second, she flew over with him. This was her real purpose. The level 2 zombie climbed up regardless of everything. After a lot of effort, he finally crossed the wall and landed on the ground, but found a back figure in front of him. And judging from the aura, wasn't it the level 2 zombie that was chasing behind him just now? He was stunned. He couldn't understand why Wonky Issue, who was clearly behind him, suddenly appeared in front of him, with his back to him. At this time, Wonky Issue stood in place, with a bleak back, and a feeling of loneliness of a master. Until Li Wending asked, "Did you fly over?" Wonky Issue was instantly defeated. "No, I was going to fly in front of him to block him. He didn't point it out. Hurry up, or he will run away later." Wonky Issue nodded, took off the soul-breaking knife in his mouth, and walked towards the level 2 zombie. Seeing Wonky Issue blocking the way in front, the level 2 zombie climbed on the wall again without thinking, and it seemed that he wanted to go back. Wonky Issue thought about it and didn't do anything. After the level 2 zombie went in, she followed him back to the community. As soon as the level 2 zombie landed, he saw Wonky Issue standing in front of him and almost cried. After thinking about it, he climbed up the wall again. Wonky Issue would not do as he wished at this time. He went up and chopped the waist of the level 2 zombie with a knife. This was also suggested by Li Wending. Don't kill him first, let him continue to control the zombies. The next time he transforms, come over and kill them all. Unexpectedly, the soul-breaking knife chopped the waist of the level 2 zombie with a clang sound. Wonky Issue took a look at the blade. Fortunately, nothing happened. She was puzzled. Strange. Why didn't it cut in two? He reminded, indestructible can only work on those with a lower level than yourself. His level is the same as yours, so naturally he won't be cut in two. Wang Qiushu asked. What should we do then? He thought for a while. First use the hammer of the earth to knock him down, then break his waist, and then use the soul-breaking sword to cut him. Hearing this, Wang Qiushu switched to the hammer of the earth and smashed the waist of the level 2 zombie with one hammer, knocking the level 2 zombie, who was halfway up, flying away. Then, she rushed over and smashed the level 2 zombie again. After a series of clanks, the waist of the level 2 zombie showed an irregular shape, which was obviously broken. Wang Qiushu switched back to the soul-breaking sword. But, he is so hard, will the soul-breaking sword really not break it? He smiled and said, the soul-breaking sword has a characteristic called indestructible, so no matter how much you cut it, it won't break. Wang Qiushu was immediately relieved and chopped the level 2 zombie. The level 2 zombie was in such a bitter mood. How could he encounter such a brutal opponent? However, he had no way to resist now. Although the soul-breaking sword could not directly cut the level 2 zombie in half, with her unremitting efforts, she finally cut the level 2 zombie in half. In this way, there is no need to worry about the level 2 zombie escaping. And as long as the level 2 zombie is not dead, the other zombies will not regain their sanity. Perfect. Wang Qiushu clapped his hands, then walked out, leaving behind a field of crawling zombies. She rode her bike back to the original neighborhood, wondering, is this zombie too cowardly? He has skin and bones of steel, but he doesn't even dare to resist. If we really fight, I will definitely have to spend some effort to kill him, and you may even have to help me. He laughed. He is just lucky to have skin and bones of steel, otherwise he would have been eaten by other zombies long ago. Besides, he may be used to controlling other zombies to fight, so he has no combat experience, and only knows how to run away. Facing you who is of the same level, he doesn't even dare to resist. Chapter 113. Just a little bit. After Wang Qiushu came back, he sighed. This is the easiest level 2 zombie to deal with. It didn't take much effort. He shook his head. For us, of course it is. After all, we have the scanning plugin. However, if it was other people or zombies, they would have been ambushed and killed before they found the level 2 zombie. Wang Qiushu nodded. By the way, do you think his control ability is the same as that of the zombie in the vegetable market? He thought about it. Probably not. He can control the zombies to attack you, while the one in the vegetable market is more like luring the zombies over and then killing them with the help of others. Wang Qiushu clapped his hands. In fact, if that's the case, the zombie in the vegetable market should not have much ability. It even needs help from others to kill an ordinary zombie. He frowned. It sounds reasonable, but it is also possible that he is restricted and it is not convenient for him to take action. We better be cautious. Wang Qiushu nodded. That's true. The level 2 zombie fell into our hands because he was not cautious enough. If he had discovered the situation of those zombies earlier and ran away earlier, it wouldn't have become like this. He smiled. We can go over and harvest them later. There are zombies everywhere. If there is a haunted house or something, putting them in there will definitely scare a lot of people. Wang Qiushu suddenly felt a chill. I didn't feel it just now, but now that you say that, I suddenly feel it's so scary. He was speechless. Then why were you chopping so vigorously just now? Wang Qiushu shook his head. That's different. Of course you have to focus on the battle. How can you be distracted by thinking about these things? By the way, how was my performance just now? Looking at Wang Qiushu's expectant look, he frowned slightly, thinking, and said after a while, do you want me to praise you? Wang Qiushu snorted coldly. I don't need you to praise me. After that, he looked at him quietly again. He then said, actually, it's quite good. It is beyond my expectation. And your fighting instinct is also very strong, but you need to accumulate more experience. Wang Qiushu's tense face could no longer maintain its balance, and the corners of his mouth stretched out, revealing a happy smile. So, I'm still quite smart. You always said I was stupid before. He waved his hands repeatedly. I didn't say you were stupid, I just said you were confused. Wang Qiushu was stunned for a moment. Don't these two words mean the same thing? He explained. No, stupidity is long term, and confusion is occasional. Wang Qiushu wanted to pounce again, but thinking of the previous scene of eye contact, he quickly stopped. He also felt a little embarrassed and quickly changed the subject. It's a pity that the level 2 zombie is the same level as you, otherwise you would have a chance to gain his control ability. Wang Qiuyushu said indifferently, I can now also intimidate zombies below level 2, which is almost the same as control. He shook his head, it's still different. Intimidation is only useful for ordinary zombies, and the effect on level 1 is not that great. Moreover, if you have control, you don't even have to do it. Just take a group of brothers to beat them up. After hearing this, Wang Qiuyushu suddenly looked at him. Why do I feel like you are talking about yourself? He was stunned for a moment. Wang Qiuyushu continued, aren't you treating me like control? You hide in a safe place, and then I go out and fight. Moreover, you are going to find other assistants in the future. Isn't that equivalent to finding a group of obedient brothers? In the past, you used my body to fight, but now I fight by myself. Why do I feel like I have become a worker? He looked at Wang Qiuyushu's head. Could it be that upgrading can also improve IQ? I remember that I didn't upgrade my head at that time. Wang Qiuyushu snorted coldly. Don't try to change the subject. He had to say, we are not in a manipulative relationship. You are free, unlike them. Besides, we can only survive if we cooperate with each other. Of course, it's okay if you want to leave, but it's better to accumulate more combat experience first. With weapons and protective gear, as long as you don't encounter high-level zombies, you should be able to survive in this chaotic world. Wang Qiuyushu muttered, I didn't say I was leaving. He looked at Wang Qiuyushu, then what do you mean by your serious face just now? Wang Qiuyushu shook his head, it doesn't mean anything. Besides, if I leave, can you survive alone? He smiled, there are so many survivors down there. At worst, we can find another assistant. Wang Qiuyushu snorted coldly, do you trust them? Are they willing to become zombies and fight for you in that way? His smile froze instantly. Wang Qiuyushu patted his shoulder proudly. Don't worry, I will protect you in the future. You just stay at home and be a gigolo. He sighed. Okay, it's my fault that I can't go out to fight. Then tonight, I'll warm your bed for you. Wang Qiuyushu's face turned red all of a sudden. Warm? What bed do you want to warm? He put his face close to Wang Qiuyushu's eyes. Didn't you ask me to be your gigolo? Isn't a gigolo responsible for warming the bed or something? Wang Qiuyushu leaned back and kept a distance. I don't need you to warm my bed. He moved closer. Really? But I'm embarrassed to do nothing. Wang Qiuyushu had almost no way to avoid it and supported himself with one hand in front of him. It's okay, just help me upgrade my equipment. His face couldn't hold back anymore and he laughed out loud. Wang Qiuyushu didn't understand. Okay, you are bullying me again. He laughed. How did I bully you? Just now, you were pretending to be serious and bullying me, so I fought back. Wang Qiuyushu rushed over. I don't care. He didn't react at once, and his body leaned forward, and his center of gravity was unstable. The two fell to the ground again, looking at each other. Everything was the same as before. At this time, he suddenly reached out and hugged Wang Qiuyushu. Wang Qiuyushu's delicate body trembled, but she didn't struggle, letting him hold her. Then, he looked at Wang Qiuyushu's red lips and couldn't help but move closer. However, there was no soft touch as before, and his lips touched something hard. He opened his eyes and saw that it was Wang Qiuyushu's finger. He asked softly, what's wrong? Wang Qiuyushu's face was a little red. What if I become a zombie later? Will you be infected with the zombie virus? He was stunned for a moment. This is a problem. At this time, Wang Qiuyushu suddenly climbed up from him. Chapter 114 New Goal. He also stood up from the ground. But it was like this when you transformed before. It should be okay. Wang Qiuyushu's face was a little red. You left after the transformation before. Can you guarantee that it will be the same later? I'm afraid you will hug me and be reluctant to let go. He laughed. That's definitely not the case. I'm a gentleman. Wang Qiuyushu obviously didn't believe it. Huh? You reached out your hand so quickly just now, and you're still a gentleman. He didn't know what to say. At this time, Wang Qiuyushu came over again. He was overjoyed and hugged him again. Happiness came too suddenly. Wang Qiushu blocked him with his hand. Are you thinking about something improper again? I want to transform and go over to get rid of those zombies as soon as possible to avoid unnecessary trouble. He was stunned for a moment and quickly patted his chest to assure, I think so too. Although Wang Qiushu didn't believe it, he still came over. But as soon as the two came into contact, he was pushed away by Wang Qiushu. After the transformation, Wang Qiushu looked at him, who was still savoring that brief moment and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Finally, he said softly, I'm leaving. Be careful. Then he walked away with the soul-breaking knife. After Wang Qiushu left, he asked directly, System, is it possible that what she said just now will happen? System, it's possible. As long as there are people, zombies will come, so the host should be careful. He was speechless. That's not what I asked. System, then what do you want to ask? He suddenly felt a little embarrassed. After all, such things are not easy to say. After hesitating for a while, he decided to use a euphemism. That is, if the saliva exchange time is a little longer, will I be infected with the zombie virus and become a zombie? System, it's possible, but because the auxiliary is transformed through the host, the original 100% probability will be reduced to 50%. He suddenly felt so sad, so the duck in his mouth flew away like this. But of course he would not give up so easily. System, is there any way to turn off the transformation? That is, I want her to transform when she wants to transform, and not transform when she doesn't want to transform. System, the host and the auxiliary are not at a high enough level, and the corresponding function has not been enabled yet. He asked hurriedly, how many levels do I have to upgrade to? Only with a goal can there be motivation to strive. But if that goal is too far away, he might as well give up. You have to know that there are tens of thousands of zombies to kill after upgrading, which is unbearable. System, the host does not have enough authority, so this system cannot answer this question. His heart sank. Is there any other way? System, when the host and the auxiliary do not have enough physical strength, they will not transform. This is a loophole, and it is also a benefit that the system secretly gives you, so don't thank me. He didn't know what to say for a while. When he had no strength, how could he have the mind to kiss? Even if his physical strength was half restored, he would still be worried. What if he was too involved, and Wang Qiushu transformed? Wouldn't it be the end? So, it's better to upgrade quickly. Thinking of this, he remembered that the original plan was for the two of them to go to the community together, kill the zombies, squeeze their juice and dispose of the bodies. As a result, both of them were a little confused at that time, and Wang Qiushu went there without taking him. It seems that love really makes people stupid. Even a smart person like him fell for it. He hurriedly shouted, Wang Qiushu, you ran too fast and missed me. Wang Qiushu chopped off the head of an ordinary zombie with a knife. These zombies were indeed still controlled and did not fight each other. She was stunned for a moment when she heard it. Ah. He continued, didn't we agree to go there together just now? Come back and pick me up now. Wang Qiushu said oh, and rode back on his bicycle. The main reason was that it was too slow for him to go downstairs and then walk over, which was a waste of time. It would be faster for Wang Qiushu to come back and pick him up. After Wang Qiushu left, the zombie who had run away touched back again. He just smelled a very sweet smell and could hardly refuse it. So after Wang Qiushu left, he couldn't hold it in anymore, because according to what he saw before, Wang Qiushu would not come back for a long time every time he left. Wang Qiushu quickly returned to the community, then stretched out his arm to pick up Li Wending and rode his bicycle to the community opposite. The security zombie trembled, not knowing which zombie had the bad luck to meet these two, and even brought a juicer with him. But he still silently said in his heart, I'd rather die than die. Although the runaway zombie came back, there was still the breath of a level 2 zombie inside, so he didn't dare to go in, for fear of being controlled again. So he stood at the door and looked inside. At this time, he suddenly heard a sound of a bicycle coming from the direction where Wang Qiushu disappeared, and turned his head to see that it was Wang Qiushu who came back. No, it wasn't just Wang Qiushu. The man on the back seat also came, holding a juicer in his hand. Although the juicer was a little small, it could also be used to squeeze juice. The runaway zombie ran away again. Wang Qiushu was too lazy to chase after them and just wondered, why do those zombies run away every time they see us? He shook his head. I don't know, maybe their brains aren't working very well. After all, this is the first time I've seen zombies that are afraid of humans. After entering the community, Wang Qiushu began to kill. The zombies in front were all ordinary zombies, and they couldn't stand a single blow from her. He enlarged the juicer and started juicing on the spot, disposing of all the corpses and turning them into zombie viruses. The level 2 zombie didn't know what the sound was, but only knew that the zombies he controlled were dying one by one, and he was even more scared to death. With each swing of Wang Qiushu's knife, the system kept sending out prompt sounds, and the experience points and kill counts were increasing. Moreover, maybe the level 2 zombie wanted to delay time, so even the level 1 zombies crawled over to slow down Wang Qiushu's speed. However, under the soul-breaking knife, the level 1 zombies were no different from ordinary zombies, and they were still killed one by one. After taking a look at Li Wending, who was still juicing, Wang Qiushu walked towards the level 2 zombies. In order to avoid mistakes, they kept the scanner on after entering the community. According to the scanner, there were no other zombies in the community, only one level 2 zombie. However, the level 2 zombie still stayed in the same place. It did not leave, nor did it hide. I don't know if it has given up struggling. However, when Wang Qiushu walked in front of the level 2 zombie, he shouted, "Take a look at this level 2 zombie." Chapter 115, Repairing the Body. He just threw a corpse into the juicer, and when he heard it, he switched to Wang Qiushu's perspective. This look also scared him. He saw that the level 2 zombie was gnawing on the corpse of the speed zombie in his mouth, and the lower body of the level 2 zombie was placed behind his upper body. Just like those who died in an accident, they would ask the undertaker to sew up the corpse and keep the whole body. Of course, there is nothing strange about zombies eating zombie corpses, not to mention that the level 2 zombie can control the speed zombie. However, the strange thing is that some black silk threads appeared between the upper and lower bodies of the level 2 zombie, as if to connect the body. And with the appearance of the black silk threads, the legs of the lower body seemed to have consciousness and could move. Seeing Wang Qiushu's arrival, the level 2 zombie accelerated the speed of gnawing and swallowing. At the same time, more and more silk threads appeared, almost connecting the two halves of the body together. Wang Qiushu felt a chill and asked, "What should we do now?" He thought for a moment and said, "Try to use the soul-breaking knife to cut those black threads." Wang Qiushu suppressed his nausea and cut them with the knife. Unexpectedly, those black threads did not have the effect of copper skin and iron bones. Wang Qiushu just cut them lightly, and they were broken directly. At the same time as the black threads were broken, the lower half of the body stopped moving again. The level 2 zombie's eyes flashed with a trace of pain, and then he actually bit Wang Qiushu. Maybe this was his last means of attack. Wang Qiushu quickly jumped away. Is he furious? He smiled and said, "I think so. Be careful, kill him and come over. We will find a place to hide later and deal with the body before leaving." Wang Qiushu nodded, and then the soul-breaking knife began to chop. Even if it had copper skin and iron bones, it would only take a little effort, not completely impossible to chop. He continued to squeeze juice and collect zombie viruses. After a while, Wang Qiushu came back. Except for the effort, there is no problem. And he really has no combat experience. He just opened his mouth and wanted to bite me. He looked at the time. "You go upstairs and find a room, then take down the window and take me up. We will rest for a while." Wang Qiushu nodded, and after he was done, he took him up through the window. He breathed a sigh of relief after landing. "Although I don't have to climb stairs, it's much faster, but I'm still a little scared." Wang Qiushu smiled. "Are you afraid that I will let go?" He shook his head. "I'm afraid that your hand will slip, and then you will become a meat paste." Wang Qiushu found 2 chairs, and they sat down to rest. She thought of the level 2 zombie just now and asked curiously, "What did you say that thing came from?" He thought for a moment and said, "Maybe he can repair his body by eating and accumulating energy." Wang Qiushu nodded and said, "It sounds okay, but it's quite disgusting." He laughed and said, "It's also possible that he can directly regenerate his limbs, but that would definitely consume a lot of energy, so he had to choose to connect his lower body." Wang Qiuyushu continued, "No wonder he is so cowardly. He has 2 life-saving skills, and one that doesn't require him to fight at all, so he just needs to stay alive to continue to upgrade." He disagreed. "I can only say that it's a good thing he is so cowardly. Otherwise, with his iron skin and bones, he would be very difficult to kill. He can also repair his body by himself, and the energy needed to repair the body can be obtained by controlling other zombies to die. With these 3 skills, he can completely adopt a desperate fighting style and even accumulate a lot of combat experience. If we meet a ruthless one, he will definitely be our biggest opponent." Wang Qiuyushu was also shocked after hearing this analysis. If you encounter a strong zombie, and you chop him for a long time, you will finally hurt him. But he will directly control other zombies to eat, and turn into energy, and then he will quickly repair his body. He can even control his subordinates, to adopt human wave tactics, and take the opportunity to attack. She patted her chest. "Then we are really lucky, otherwise, we will be in big trouble. The soul-breaking sword has no level advantage, and it is still a bit difficult to deal with these zombies of the same level." He nodded. "So, we have to upgrade quickly." Looking at the panel, after killing the zombies in this community, the experience value reached 280, and to upgrade to the next level, you need to kill 300 zombies. The main reason for this is that the level 2 zombies provide 100 kills, otherwise it won't be so fast. After upgrading to level 2, I killed zombies in 2 communities, a total of 3 level 2 zombies, and I don't know how many level 1 zombies, plus ordinary zombies, which add up to only 700. However, there is a problem here, that is, there is no such large community nearby. If he wanted to continue to enter the community, he had to go a little further. Besides, the zombies nearby had been lured here and killed before, so it would be a bit difficult to kill another 300. In this way, only the nearby factory or the vegetable market was left. However, he did not plan to go to the vegetable market so early, so he would search the factory first to see if he could gather 300. The most important thing was that, even if he successfully killed a level 3 zombie, it would only add 300 kills, and would not directly complete the promotion task. At that time, he would have to kill another level 3 zombie to successfully advance. It was unknown how terrifying a level 3 zombie was, and it was not so easy to kill it, so it was better to slow down, and take a long-term view. Before he was sure, he was not going to provoke the zombies in the vegetable market. After he had a good rest, Wang Qiuyushu sent him down, and kept watch by his side. After all, the zombie that ran away just now was a level 1, and it might come back later. And with her by his side, he could transform at any time. After a long time of squeezing, the corpses were finally cleaned up, and the zombie virus also became much bigger. Unfortunately, we still don't know what the purpose of this virus is. Judging from the vague words of the system, it must not only be attractive to zombies, and can upgrade zombies. It is estimated that there are some special uses that have not been discovered. After dealing with these things, the two did not plan to continue exploring the surrounding area. They were very tired after killing zombies for so long. Physically, they can recover after a good sleep. It is mainly mental consumption. Although it looks very easy during the battle, the two dare not be careless at all. They are always tense. After all, once something goes wrong, it may be fatal. So, the two return to the building to rest. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 116, The Almost Impossible Mission of Advancing to Level 3. At night, the two of them still slept separately. After all, it was just the beginning, and it would be bad to be too impatient. Moreover, if they lost control and something unexpected happened, both of them would be finished. Of course, when facing Wang Qiuyushu, he still patted his chest loudly. "I'm a gentleman, you don't have to worry." Wang Qiuyushu looked at him with a smile, and then put the hammer of the earth in a place where he could easily get it. By the way, Can't you upgrade your equipment now? I think it's better for you to upgrade a set of armor. He patted his head and exchanged for a powerful pill. I almost forgot to take the medicine. I don't think it's necessary for the time being. Let's kill the level 3 zombies first. Wan Qiushu smiled. Otherwise, I'm afraid you can't resist the hammer of the earth. He said confidently. I didn't do anything bad, so you don't need to use the hammer of the earth. Wan Qiushu lay down directly. Then you have to ask yourself, good night. He also responded, good night. Starting from the next day, the two of them took the building as the center and began to plunder nearby, mainly focusing on the factory. They were too lazy to pay attention to the zombies in the building. To get in, you must first break down the gate, and then most of the zombies in the building are in the room, which means that you have to break down a door to kill a zombie, which is too troublesome. However, the factories nearby are all small factories with not many workers. In addition, after such a long time, the zombies have been consuming each other, so there are not many zombies in the factory. And the highest level is level 1 zombies, and there are no level 2 zombies at all. However, one thing that is better than those buildings is that the zombies inside are more concentrated. And because they are trapped by the factory gate, they can't get out at all. In addition, the level is too low. Wan Qiushu only needs to transform and go in and chop with the soul-breaking knife. Then, he went in to be responsible for juicing. The two divided the work and cooperated perfectly, and almost cleared all the zombies nearby. During this period, he also scanned the high-speed rail, but found that there was only one zombie left on the high-speed rail. Although I don't know if it is the one I saw before, it is certain that the high-speed rail zombie is indeed level 3. Wan Qiushu chopped off the head of the level 1 zombie that rushed over with one knife, then turned around and asked, is this the last one? He walked over and stuffed the corpse into the juicer and replied, yes, we have killed enough now. We will see the conditions for promotion later. If it is not a level 3 zombie, that would be great. At this time, the system also sent a message, ding, the promotion task is now released. The number of zombies killed by the host is enough to 1000. Now you only need to kill a level 3 zombie to successfully advance to level 3. He put the zombie virus in the juicer into the box, and then sighed. Sure enough, you have to kill a level 3 zombie to advance. A trace of worry flashed in Wan Qiushu's eyes. But, my armor and weapons can only deal with level 2 zombies. It can even be said that it is easier to deal with zombies below level 2. Can this level 3 zombie really be killed? He thought about it. System, she is right. Even if I take drugs or something, my armor can't resist it, and my weapons are not lethal enough. How can I advance to the next level? When he killed the gossipy woman by leapfrogging her level, the skirt of darkness could resist the attacks of zombies of level 2 and below, so he was able to kill her successfully. Otherwise, Wan Qiushu would probably be seriously injured. And now, the zombies of level 3 are obviously more difficult to deal with. Even if the skirt of darkness has a 20% chance of rebounding the opponent's attack, it is not enough to hit him. Maybe, before the opponent is rebounded to death, Wan Qiushu will fall first. He can't take risks with Wan Qiushu's life. If there is really no other way, he can just not upgrade. System, it is recommended that the host develop more assistants. If there are enough assistants, they can share the damage with each other. He sighed and looked at Wan Qiushu. Wan Qiushu asked hurriedly, how is it? He hesitated for a while before saying, you definitely can't beat it alone, and your equipment can't keep up. So, you may need to find a few more assistants to tie each other up, which may make it easier to kill. Wan Qiushu nodded and said nothing. He walked over and put his arm around Wan Qiushu's shoulders. Look at me. Wan Qiushu raised his head when he heard it. He smiled. Actually, this is none of your business and has nothing to do with your strength. It's just a level suppression, so you don't have to think too much. As for finding an assistant, I'm not going to find one for the time being, and I believe there are other ways. Wan Qiushu was stunned for a moment, and then asked, what if there is no other way? He smiled. Then don't upgrade. Anyway, given our current situation, we can just hide. Or, we can find an opportunity to be the fisherman. Those zombies will definitely fight when they reach a higher level. Can't we take advantage of their injuries and weakest time to grab their heads? Wang Qiuyushu nodded and then hugged him tightly. He patted Wang Qiuyushu's shoulder gently. After a while, Wang Qiuyushu let go. I understand. You can just find another assistant. He looked at Wang Qiuyushu strangely. Why does this sound like a wife asking her husband to find a mistress? Wang Qiuyushu snorted coldly. Level 2 seems okay now, but it will be difficult to survive after a long time, so we still have to find a way to upgrade. He shook his head. Let's talk about it later. Don't rush. I plan to go to the vegetable market to have a look first. Wang Qiuyushu looked at him. Have you thought of a solution? He looked up at the sky. Maybe, but I still have to see what kind of zombies are in the vegetable market and what level they are. Wang Qiuyushu breathed a sigh of relief. Does that mean we don't need to find an assistant anymore? He nodded and quickly shook his head again. No, that won't work. We still have to find an assistant. Wang Qiuyushu glared at him. Say it again. He picked up the juicer and ran back. You clearly agreed just now, and now you want to go back on your word? Wang Qiuyushu chased after him with the soul-breaking sword. Don't run. I remember you have healing medicine, which means you don't have to worry about getting hurt. Hearing this, he ran even faster, in case he was caught up. Fortunately, Wang Qiuyushu's physical fitness in zombie form was definitely better than his, but his normal form was obviously not as good as his. This was clear from the time it took him to transform, and of course it was the result of his drug use. However, he still didn't go far, but just kept a distance to avoid any accidents. The two chased and played like this, and returned to the building. And he was naturally beaten up by Wang Qiuyushu. Chapter 117 The Girl Who Knows Kung Fu. The next morning, the two came to the previous community, and then Wang Qiuyushu transformed and rode a bicycle to the vegetable market. However, when approaching the wholesale store, she saw a figure wearing bloated clothes, hiding in the corner and observing. Seeing that dress, she couldn't help but think of her former self. Guess, what does she want to do? He thought for a while. So many days have passed, I guess they have finished eating the food they looted from the fast food restaurant, so now they should be preparing to move to the wholesale store. Wang Qiuyushu stopped directly. Then what should we do? Watch her move. Besides, can she deal with so many zombies alone? Not to mention moving things. You know, when they took the juicer before, they saw several zombies wandering outside. Although they are just ordinary zombies, it is difficult for an ordinary person to deal with them. Not to mention zombies that can kill people at any time. Even if one person wants to fight several people at the same time, he may not win. He was silent for a while. I don't know. Let's take a look first, and if it doesn't work, I'll help. Wang Qiuyushu said disdainfully. You didn't think of being a hero to save the beauty, because she has a good figure? He was speechless. It's wrapped like a zongzi. How do you know she has a good figure? Besides, it's already very good to have the courage to face so many zombies alone. We are just saving them casually. Wang Qiuyushu nodded. Okay then. Then, he began to watch the show. At this time, the figure may have sensed Wang Qiuyushu's presence and couldn't help but look back. Then, the pupils contracted instantly and the body trembled slightly. This is a suppression from the level, but it is already very good to be able to control it to this extent. Wang Qiuyushu commented. Although she is a little thin, she still looks pretty, and her eyes are also very bright. The figure looked at Wang Qiuyushu, then looked at the ordinary zombies on the opposite side, and finally gritted his teeth and rushed over. Without him saying anything, Wang Qiuyushu rode his bicycle and followed. Because the girl seemed to have seen her, she had to choose the relatively easy to deal with ordinary zombies. If the girl was really in trouble, it would be equivalent to her killing him. However, Wang Qiuyushu did not follow the girl directly, but went around from another direction. When she came to the electrical appliance store, she saw a zombie lying on the ground, and the other 3 zombies were rushing towards the girl. The girl walked quickly behind her, and then suddenly accelerated her feet, and kicked the wall, and her whole body was almost parallel to the ground. But soon affected by gravity, she was about to fall. The 3 zombies followed and rushed towards her. At this time, the girl twisted her body, and kicked the head of the front zombie, kicking the head in a different direction. But even so, the zombie was still not dead, and the remaining 2 rushed towards her. After the girl landed, she took a step forward, turned sideways in one go, and then hit the leading zombie with her shoulder. Bang! The zombie flew out and fell to the ground. At this time, there was only one zombie left in front of the girl. She took another step forward, formed her hands into claws, and slapped the zombie's head like a watermelon. With a crack, the zombie's skull should have cracked. However, although such a fight looked exciting and thrilling, the girl was an ordinary person after all, so the 4 zombies did not die and rushed towards her again. The only zombie who was most seriously injured was the one whose skull was smashed at the end. Black liquid was coming out of his mouth, but it was obvious that he would not die for a while. The girl looked at the 4 zombies, frowned, and then looked at Wang Qiushu again, as if she didn't understand why Wang Qiushu didn't take action. However, when she saw the soul-breaking knife in Wang Qiushu's hand, a trace of desire flashed in her eyes. If she had that knife, she would definitely be able to kill the zombies in front of her. Then, she sighed and took out a thick-backed kitchen knife. There were already many gaps on the kitchen knife, obviously because it had chopped zombies before, and the blade was broken. Wang Qiushu also saw the girl's eyes, and subconsciously put the soul-breaking knife back. This knife is hers, so she won't lend it to others. So, he didn't say anything. Facing the 4 zombies that rushed over again, the girl continued to retreat, and then at a certain moment, she turned around and chopped the neck of the zombie in front with a knife. The cut was clean and sharp, and the blade was halfway cut in. However, compared to the zombie's neck, it was obviously not good enough, and it couldn't directly cut off the zombie's neck. Then, the girl kicked the zombie with one foot, and at the same time, she used force with her hand to pull out the knife. A large amount of black liquid spurted out of the wound on the zombie's neck, and it was kicked and hit the 3 zombies behind it. All of a sudden, all 4 of them lay down. The girl took a look at the kitchen knife in her hand. Just this one kick broke a lot more. It is estimated that it will be useless after a few more cuts. However, there are still 4 zombies. If you don't kill these zombies, you can't get the food. The girl's eyes flashed with a hint of irritation, and at the same time, a hint of hesitation, as if she was considering whether to leave first. Then, she didn't know what she thought of, and her eyes became firm. At this time, Wang Qiushu suddenly threw the soul-breaking knife out, and stabbed it into one of the zombies. He was speechless. Can't you just throw it in front of her? Wang Qiushu snorted coldly in his mind. I have thrown the knife out, whether she can get it or not is her ability. If she can't get it, then it's none of my business if she dies. He was silent for a while, and then said, why do I feel that you are jealous? I don't even know her, why do you bother? Wang Qiushu said after a while, maybe it's because of a woman's intuition. I always feel that this woman will become my rival. He didn't know what to say for a moment. The girl was also surprised when she saw Wang Qiushu's actions. However, she saw that the soul-breaking knife went straight through the zombie's body, which showed how sharp the knife was. However, although it was stabbed by the soul-breaking knife, the zombie still did not die, and rushed towards the girl with other zombies. The girl gritted her teeth, rushed forward, and pulled out the soul-breaking sword, dodging the zombies' attacks at the same time. Then, she raised her sword and slashed it, and with only 4 strikes, 4 headless corpses appeared on the ground. Chapter 118 The Devil in the Market. The girl looked at the soul-breaking knife in her hand, desire rising in her eyes, and then looked at the zombie Wang Qiushu in front of her. With this knife, maybe she could fight this zombie. Moreover, once the knife is returned, it is equivalent to adding a lot of power to the zombie, and she will be more dangerous. But soon, the desire in her eyes subsided, and her eyes became clear. Then, she threw the soul-breaking knife directly in front of Wang Qiushu, and at the same time carefully guarded Wang Qiushu, and did not forget to say, thank you. He smiled and said, this girl is quite interesting. Wang Qiushu bent down, and picked up the soul-breaking knife. You still say you are not interested in her? He sighed, I really am not. But he did not explain further. Anyway, it is impossible to reason with a woman. The more he said, the angrier Wang Qiushu would get. Wang Qiushu glanced at the girl and asked, what should we do now? He said directly, wait. Wang Qiushu asked in confusion, wait for what? You don't want me to stay here to protect her, do you? He wisely did not respond, but said, "Look at the 4 corpses." Wang Qiuyushu took a look. "Aren't they just ordinary zombies? Nothing special," he explained. "These 4 corpses are different from the zombies we saw that day, so these 4 zombies may have been lured here by the high-level zombies inside." Wang Qiuyushu nodded. "We saw it that day. The zombies inside can indeed lure other zombies over, but is it related to what is happening in front of us?" He sighed. "We have cleared out all the zombies nearby, so do you think there will be more zombies that will be lured here? Or are the abilities of the high-level zombies so strong that they can lure zombies from far away?" Wang Qiuyushu frowned. "Maybe there are some that slipped through the net. Or they may have walked out of the nearby houses." He continued, "We have scanned it before, and there are only living people in the houses on both sides, no zombies." Wang Qiuyushu was puzzled. "Then where did these zombies come from?" He was silent for a moment. "I guess they might have been transformed from humans." Wang Qiuyushu was shocked. "Humans? How could it be?" He analyzed. "If the high-level zombies really have the ability to lure zombies, why don't they lure all the zombies in, but have to guard here?" Wang Qiuyushu thought for a while. "Didn't you say before that there are still living people in there? You want to use food as bait to lure living people to hunt?" He sighed. "I thought so before, but now that I see these zombies, I have a new idea." Wang Qiuyushu hurriedly asked, "What idea?" He replied, "The high-level zombies in there can lure zombies and use zombies as food, but they can't lure humans. And to lure humans, these foods happen to be the biggest bait. If someone turns humans into zombies, wouldn't that achieve the goal of the high-level zombies?" Wang Qiuyushu was shocked. "But how can humans turn humans into zombies?" He thought for a while. "Remember the crossbow sound we heard before? What if black liquid was applied on it?" Wang Qiuyushu shook his head repeatedly. "But why would a person cooperate with zombies? Is that zombie his family member or his pet? Moreover, it is so strange that the high-level zombie did not kill that living person." He said directly, "I don't know either. Maybe we have to wait until we see that living person to know." While the two were communicating in their minds, the girl walked into the wholesale store, picked up a bag of rice, and was walking out. Such a large bag of rice was enough to eat for a long time. Wang Qiuyushu jumped out of the car and rushed towards the girl. "If what you said is right, doesn't it mean that the girl is in danger?" He didn't know what to say. "You rushing over like this is the biggest danger in the eyes of the girl." Sure enough, the girl looked at the rice in her hand and then looked at Wang Qiuyushu who was running over. In the end, she was reluctant to put it down, but she walked out faster. At this time, Wang Qiuyushu heard the sound of a string being pulled from the roof of the building next to her. She simply flew over and blocked the girl. The girl was stunned for a moment, not knowing what had happened. She thought she was going to die at the hands of this zombie, but this zombie suddenly blocked her. The next second, with a whoosh, a bow and arrow with a black arrowhead really shot over and hit Wang Qiuyushu. Fortunately, Wang Qiuyushu was not injured because of the dark skirt. The girl also reacted at this time. Someone wanted to sneak attack her, but was blocked by the zombie in front of her. Then, several arrows were shot in succession. The person hiding in the dark seemed to know that Wang Qiuyushu could not be shot to death, so every arrow was aimed at the girl. The girl hesitated for only a second, then threw the rice in her hand and ran out. If she still held the rice, she would not be able to run away and would only become a living target. Soon, the girl disappeared around the corner. Wang Qiuyushu picked up the arrow on the ground and took a look. It was indeed coated with black liquid and exuded a real stench. She looked up in the direction where the arrow came from, but found that the man had disappeared. She didn't know if he had hidden. She was considering whether to rush in and cause trouble for that man. After all, there was a scanner, so no matter how well that man hid, it would be useless. At this time, a terrifying breath came from the vegetable market and was spreading towards her. At the same time, she felt a little dizzy, as if something was calling her to come over. He didn't care about so much and quickly took control of Wang Qiuyushu's body, then rode his bicycle and ran back. But before running, he still turned on the scan and took a look. It was certain that the one in the vegetable market was indeed a level 3 zombie. Now, he had a better grasp of his upgrade plan. Under his control, Wang Qiushu pedaled the bicycle desperately until he returned to his side. He released the control and asked, "How do you feel now?" Wang Qiushu's eyes were blurred for a while, and he shook his head. Then his eyes began to focus, and then asked, "What happened just now? I seemed to hear someone calling me." He breathed a sigh of relief. "I'm relieved to see that you are okay. That was the method of that level 3 zombie just now. He should be controlling the zombies in this way." Wang Qiushu looked at him. "Then how did I get rid of it?" He chuckled. "You are a zombie, and I'm not. So I directly took control of your body, and his call had no effect on me." Chapter 119 Meet again. Wang Qiushu suddenly realized, that is to say, if my body is controlled by you, I can completely ignore the temptation of the level 3 zombie. Maybe, we can use this to make him relax his vigilance, and then take his life. He shook his head. "Don't forget, there is still that living person. That living person must have seen our abnormality, and will definitely take precautions. What's more, even if it is an ordinary zombie, it is hunted by that living person, and we will definitely get the same treatment then. Finally, that is a level 3 zombie. Even if he doesn't have a bronze skin and iron bones, he can't be killed by the soul-breaking sword in one blow." Wang Qiushu looked disappointed. "Then this method won't work. You didn't deliberately reject my method and want to find the girl just now as an assistant, right?" He hurriedly shook his head to deny. "Absolutely not, although the girl looks good and has a good character. But I won't feel at ease before I have contact with her. You know, we are facing a level 3 zombie. If we kill it by force, teammates are the most important. I will never let a stranger be your teammate." Wang Qiushu snorted coldly. "You said you were not interested in her, but you observed her so carefully." He knew that the more he talked, the less clear it would be, so he had to change the subject. "In fact, there is another way to complete the level 3 task." Wang Qiushu was indeed attracted, and asked quickly, "What method?" He pointed to the distance. "Remember the high-speed rail zombie?" Wang Qiushu thought about it, then asked, "Do you want them to fight each other, and then you can benefit?" He nodded proudly. "Yes." However, Wang Qiushu quickly asked again, "But, will this method work? How could they fight when they are so far apart?" He chuckled and took out the glass box. "What if it's this?" Wang Qiushu looked at the zombie virus inside and nodded repeatedly. "With this, the possibility will be much greater. So what are you going to do?" He thought for a while. "Actually, this plan needs to be improved. First of all, we don't know how attractive this zombie virus is to level 3 zombies. Secondly, the high-speed rail zombie has been hiding up there for some reason, so it is still unknown whether we can lure him down. Finally, we don't know anything about the level 3 zombies in the vegetable market. Also, there are many survivors near the vegetable market. If a fight breaks out there, I'm afraid it will affect innocent people." Wang Qiushu nodded. "Then I'll go to the vegetable market again later. Anyway, with the dark skirt, ordinary attacks can't hurt me. I just need to be on guard against the level 3 zombie. And we have a scan, so we can find the opponent's traces in advance. Even if he uses lure, there will be no problem, as long as you take over my body in time." He thought about it, and finally nodded in agreement. "Then you should be careful later." Wang Qiushu asked again, "Do we need to find out about the situation of the high-speed rail zombies? We only know that there is a level 3 zombie up there, but we know nothing about him." He shook his head. "We live too close to the high-speed rail zombie. Once we lure him out, we will be unable to resist, and have nowhere to hide. The vegetable market zombie is different. I always feel that he has some kind of restrictions, and can't come out easily, so he didn't attack you the first time." Wang Qiushu thought about it. "It is also possible that he is not very confident. Even just now, I could barely resist. Unlike the ordinary zombies we saw before, they had no ability to resist, and just walked in directly." He nodded. "It's possible. So when we disrupted his hunting operation, he became angry and attacked you." Wang Qiushu breathed a sigh of relief. "Then I feel more relieved. Let me go deep into the tiger's den and spy on his intelligence later. In addition, if I meet that man, I must kill him." He also remembered the bow and arrow. Well, such a person is a disaster if he is kept. Maybe someone has died at his hands before. After a good rest, Wang Qiuyushu set out again, all the way to the vegetable market. However, when she passed by the little girl's house that day, she suddenly heard noisy voices coming from inside, so she stopped. "Don't worry, go. We will take care of your sister and your grandfather. You see, your sister is so thin from hunger. If you don't find something to eat, she won't be able to hold on. By the way, there is also water. I remember there are a lot of drinks in it. Put on more clothes. The arrows won't be able to penetrate. Didn't you kill those zombies? Go and see the situation. If it's safe, come back and inform us." At this time, the little girl that day said in a crying voice, "Sister, don't go." The voices just now said again, "Children are ignorant. Don't listen to her. Yes, we don't know kung fu, and all our hopes are placed on you. If you don't go, we will spread the news that your grandfather turned into a zombie." There was another noise, and then the voice of the girl in the morning was heard. "Keep your voices down. The loud noises will easily attract zombies." The house suddenly became quiet. Then, the girl said, "Even if you don't tell me, I will go. If something happens to me, just remember to take good care of my sister for me." Those people hurriedly whispered, "Don't worry, we will." There was a clear sense of joy in the words. But the little girl said, "Sister, I don't want you to go. Please don't go, okay?" The girl whispered, "Zhilin, be good. Sister will be back soon and bring you something delicious." Then, there was the sound of footsteps coming down the stairs. Wang Qiuyushu was silent for a while and suddenly said, "I thought only zombies could control people, but it turns out that people can too." He sighed. "Yes, but the zombies' control is one too many, while people's control is many to one." At this time, the door was quietly opened, and then an eye looked out through the crack of the door. When it saw Wang Qiuyushu, the eye froze. Then, the girl in the morning flashed out of the door, and then quickly closed the door. She was wearing more clothes than in the morning, and looked like a 200-pound fat man, holding a thin-bladed kitchen knife in her hand. This kind of kitchen knife is okay for cutting vegetables, but it is difficult to chop bones, let alone kill zombies. Even so, the girl still stared at Wang Qiuyushu closely and stood by the door. It seemed that, as long as Wang Qiuyushu came over, she would fight with Wang Qiuyushu to the death. Chapter 120, Being Blocked. Wang Qiuyushu thought about it, then rode his bike towards the vegetable market. The girl didn't relax until Wang Qiuyushu walked away. Her eyes flickered, and she didn't know what she was thinking. After a while, she followed him. Wang Qiuyushu went down all the way and soon came to the intersection in front of the electrical appliance store. However, he didn't go in directly, but just took a look inside. He saw a few more zombies wandering at the door of the electrical appliance store, and the 4 bodies in the morning were gone. Wang Qiuyushu smiled and said, "It seems that your guess is not right." He thought about it. Could it be that there are still many zombies hiding in the vegetable market? Otherwise, how could they be replenished so quickly? However, the state of those ordinary zombies was obviously not right. Because after they found Wang Qiuyushu, they didn't tremble all over, let alone rush over, as if they didn't see her. Wang Qiuyushu asked again, "What should we do now?" He was silent for a while. "Go a little inside and take a look. If there is something wrong, tell me immediately so that I can take over your body." Wang Qiuyushu said and rode his bike slowly inside. At this time, the zombies seemed to be lured by something and turned around and walked towards the vegetable market. Wang Qiuyushu felt strange and became more cautious. Walking a little further in, she found that the 2 wholesale stores were actually emptied. "What's going on? Did someone get there first?" he said directly. "With so many things, how many people can move them all? What's more, this is a territory of level 3 zombies. It seems that something unexpected happened while we were resting." Wang Qiuyushu thought about it and continued to walk in. Passing the electrical appliance store and turning left, there are rows of shops on the left and a small basketball court on the right. Next to the basketball court is the vegetable market. The basketball court was naturally empty at this time, and the zombies just now were still walking in step by step, as if something was guiding them. Wang Qiuyushu stood at the intersection with her feet on the bicycle pedals. "How about it? Do you still want to go in?" he shouted. "Wait a minute, I'll start a scan and see. I always feel something is wrong." The next second, the scan started. Only the red dots in front of her were displayed within the range. There was a red dot on the roof opposite the vegetable market, which should be the person who shot the arrow before. There was a yellow dot behind Wang Qiushu. She looked back and saw that the girl had also come over and was staring at the empty wholesale store in a daze. However, there was no sign of the level 3 zombie. It was not known whether it was out of range or hiding. At this time, more than a dozen red dots suddenly appeared at the intersections on both sides. The scan showed that they were approaching quickly. However, these red dots looked the size of ordinary zombies, which made them both a little confused for a while. And the red dot on the roof was also coming this way. It seemed that these red dots were in the same group. He shouted hurriedly, "Hurry up." Wang Qiushu turned the car around, but it was too late. The intersections on both sides were blocked by several small cars. Although the girl didn't know what happened, she hid in the wholesale store as soon as possible. Zombies naturally couldn't drive. After the car blocked the intersection, more than a dozen people came down. They all had various knives in their hands, and one even had a pistol. Wang Qiushu glanced at both sides. "Do you think the skirt of darkness can block bullets?" He was silent for a while. "The power of the pistol is not very strong, but I don't think it can block it." After Wang Qiushu looked at them, the people on both sides began to tremble unconsciously. This was due to the suppression of their levels. At this time, a man wearing a black mask, with only a pair of eyes and a mouth exposed, appeared on the roof in front of Wang Qiushu. He put his hand in his mouth and whistled. The next second, a strong breath burst out from the vegetable market and rushed directly towards Wang Qiushu, suppressing the breath on Wang Qiushu's body. The people on both sides, who were still trembling, suddenly felt relaxed, as if nothing had happened. On the contrary, Wang Qiushu's body began to tremble slightly under the suppression of this breath. He looked at the scanner, and a red dot representing a level 3 zombie suddenly appeared in the vegetable market, where there was nothing. The masked man stood up, holding a bow in his hand, glanced at Wang Qiushu, and did not draw the bow, and put an arrow. Then, he looked in the direction from which Wang Qiushu came and shouted, "Brother Zhao Peo, this zombie is in your hands. As long as you can cripple her, she will be dead." The man with the pistol came out and said, "Don't worry, we will do it after receiving so many things from you. In the future, we will need your help." The masked man replied, "As long as you send more people and zombies, everything will be fine." Then, the little gun brother shouted, "Go, whoever can cut off the zombie's hand or foot will be rewarded with a bag of rice." The people on both sides hesitated for a moment, and all rushed over with red eyes. At the same time, the little gun brother also pointed his pistol at Wang Qiushu, waiting for a suitable opportunity to shoot. Wang Qiushu did not break out directly, but rushed directly into the wholesale store on his bicycle. The girl was hiding behind the pillar in the wholesale store at this time, holding a kitchen knife in her hand, and her body was trembling. Under the power of the level 3 zombie, it was already good that she did not lie down directly. I don't know how the level 3 zombies distinguish between friends and enemies. There are so many living people here, but they just target Wang Qiushu and the girl. Just as Wang Qiushu hidden, an arrow shot over with a whoosh, but the target was not Wang Qiushu, but the tire of the bicycle. Wang Qiushu quickly grabbed the arrow in her hand and was about to shoot it back the same way, but she found that the masked man had already hidden. She had to bend the arrow hard and then threw it on the ground. At this time, her eyes were blurred, and she unconsciously let go of her hand holding the bicycle and walked out. Li Wending saw that it was the level 3 zombies causing trouble again, so he quickly took over Wang Qiushu's body and stopped. At this time, people on both sides were slowly approaching here. However, they were obviously afraid of Wang Qiushu, so they did not move very fast. And the little cannon brother still stayed where he was and did not come over. He suddenly had a headache. It seemed that the plan of catching the thief first would not work. Moreover, among these people, only the pistol posed the greatest threat to Wang Qiushu, and there was still a distance between them. Even if Wang Qiushu rushed over forcefully, she might be shot. But she didn't have any healing medicine on her, and if she was hit in the vitals, the healing medicine would probably not be able to heal her in time. Chapter 121 Not My Kind. However, Wang Qiushu's transformation time is limited. If he continues to drag it out here, he will either wait until the transformation is over and surrender, or the level 3 zombie will do it himself, and he will die. Thinking of this, he took a look at the scan, but found that the level 3 zombie disappeared again. However, for safety reasons, he continued to control Wang Qiushu's body. At the same time, the scanner showed that the people on both sides were getting closer and closer. Wang Qiushu glanced at the girl and asked, "Can you still move? Can you hold the knife?" The girl looked at Wang Qiushu as if she had seen a ghost. She didn't expect that the zombies could talk, and they were rational zombies. But think about it, the zombie in front of her can even ride a bicycle, so it doesn't seem strange that he can talk. She thought about it and then nodded with difficulty. The main reason is that the breath of this level 3 zombie is too strong and his body is almost out of her control. Wang Qiushu said directly, "Separate." The girl didn't know what this meant, but found that in addition to the knife, the zombie also had a strange sledgehammer in his hand, and she was stunned for a moment. As a girl who had received scientific education, she had no way of understanding what was happening before her eyes. Was this some kind of supernatural power or some kind of magic? Wang Qiushu directly handed over the soul-breaking knife. "You have already used this knife this morning. Be careful." The girl carefully took the soul-breaking knife and then asked, "Is it okay if you give me the knife?" Wang Qiushu swung the sledgehammer and gently hit it on the palm of his hand. "I have this. I will teach them a lesson later." In fact, he had carefully considered lending out the soul-breaking knife. First, the girl was implicated by him. Second, he also wanted to see if the girl was in the same group with those people. Even if it was true, he had the protection of the dark skirt and did not have to worry about being stabbed in the back. Third, if he wanted to break through later, he might need the girl's help. The girl nodded when she heard this. Even if such a big hammer could not kill people, it would break bones, and its power was not much different from that of the knife. At this time, Wang Qiushu suddenly shouted, "They are coming." The girl was startled, and sure enough, she saw people rushing in from both sides. They were holding various knives in their hands, and they rushed over as if they were risking their lives. Wang Qiushu directly added the buff of lifting a heavy weight with ease to the hammer of the earth, and then swung it out. The man who rushed in the front hurriedly dodged backwards, but found that the speed of the hammer was too fast, and it was not at all the speed that this weight should have. So, subconsciously, he blocked his head with his hand. It is better to break a hand than to hit the head, which is fatal. However, the man obviously underestimated the power of the hammer of the earth. As soon as the two came into contact, there was a crack, and the arm was directly broken into a 90-degree angle. Then, the hammer of the earth hit the man's head with undiminished power. With a bang, the man flew out horizontally and hit the wall next to him. The skull was half sunken, and blood foam was spitting from his mouth. Then the body slid to the ground, leaving a bloody mark on the wall, obviously dead. The group of people following behind saw such a bloody scene and stopped where they were, not daring to move forward. Wang Qiushu glanced at those people and then looked at the girl next to her. There were many broken blades around the girl, but she might have never killed anyone, so she just cut off the blades of those people and did not kill them. In addition, under the influence of the level 3 zombies, her actions were not as sharp as in the morning, and she felt a little timid. Seeing the girl like this, those people became even crazier and chopped at the girl with the broken blades. Fortunately, the girl was wearing thick clothes, otherwise she would have been injured long ago, or even hacked to death. Wang Qiushu shook her head, but did not say anything. If these people knew that there was a zombie who could talk, it would definitely cause more trouble. Moreover, some things still need to be experienced in person, and there is not much point in her speaking now. The group of people who had originally besieged Wang Qiushu saw that the brutality of the two sides was so different that they didn't know how many levels. So, some smart ones ran to the side and joined the team besieging the girl. Suddenly, the girl was even more exhausted. Wang Qiushu did not come forward to help, but stared at the remaining people. Then he swung the hammer of the earth and walked over step by step. When those people saw Wang Qiushu approaching, they were so scared that they could hardly hold their knives. They were indeed prepared to fight desperately before they came, but they never thought that the gap in strength between the two sides was so big. This is not a desperate fight at all, but a free fight. So, those people retreated step by step until they left the wholesale store. At this time, Xiaopeo's voice rang out, "You guys, if you don't get rid of this zombie, don't think about having food when you go back." Those people showed a bitter look on their faces. What is more terrible than death in the end of the world? It must be hunger. So, those people rushed up shouting, "Being smashed to death is better than starving to death." Wang Qiushu snorted coldly and kept swinging the hammer of the earth. After a while, the whole wall was painted blood red and the corners were full of corpses. She shook her head, not knowing whether the probability of this fatal blow was too low or whether it could only be used on zombies, and it didn't trigger. After killing so many people, the group of people who besieged the girl unconsciously moved away from Wang Qiushu, fearing that they would be affected. However, they wanted to hide farther away, but Wang Qiushu didn't want to. How could they get out without cleaning up this group of people? So, Wang Qiushu rushed over with the hammer of the earth, one by one. But this time, she didn't smash them to death, but broke their hands. These people were the girl's opponents, and should not be killed by her. Soon, there was a group of wailing people. However, even though their hands were broken, they still didn't step out of the wholesale store. I don't know if there is any handle in the hands of the little cannon brother. The girl held the soul-breaking knife in her hand, and she didn't know what happened for a while. She looked at the wailing people, and then at Wang Qiushu. A sentence flashed through her mind: "Those who are not of my kind must have different hearts." Wang Qiushu naturally noticed the look in the girl's eyes, but did not care, but stretched out her hand. The girl was stunned for a moment, but quickly reacted and handed over the soul-breaking sword. Wang Qiushu fused the soul-breaking sword with the hammer of the earth, leaving behind the hammer of the earth with the buff of lifting heavy objects with ease. Then, he found several belts from the corpse, and tied her and the girl together. However, before that, he also tied up 2 living people at the same time. Chapter 122 Escape. The girl had no idea what Wang Qiushu was doing the whole time, and just stupidly let Wang Qiushu tie her up. And Wang Qiushu didn't say a word, and didn't mean to explain. Those who were still wailing saw that they were not selected, and a trace of relief flashed in their eyes. The 2 people who were selected sandwiched Wang Qiushu and the girl in the middle, one in front and one behind. Although they didn't know what would happen, it was obviously not a good thing, so they wailed even louder. One of the 2 people had his back pressed against Wang Qiushu's front. The girl was hugging Wang Qiushu. The last person was back to back with the girl. Then, Wang Qiushu used the hammer of the earth to drive those people out. Who knew that those people would rather die than go out? Wang Qiushu naturally wouldn't let them do what they wanted and die so easily. So he grabbed a person and smashed him with the hammer of the earth little by little, smashing the whole person into a meat paste. This scene immediately scared those people to death. They were not afraid of death, but they were afraid of being tortured. Although this way of death was very short under Wang Qiushu's operation, the degree of pain was not reduced at all. The girl's eyes flashed with pity, but she didn't say anything. Now, without Wang Qiushu's help, they walked out on their own initiative. Wang Qiushu pushed the bicycle and stood in the middle of the crowd with the girl. Moreover, they lowered their bodies and were completely blocked by the group of people. There was a person tied in front of Wang Qiushu and behind the girl, so there was no need to worry, even if there was an accident. Brother Xiaopeo saw a group of people coming out, and he was immediately furious and said, "Waste, all waste." Then, he raised his pistol, "Get out of my way." One person's body slightly tilted, and he was directly hit by the hammer of the earth. This time, the effect of the fatal blow was finally triggered. The man's head exploded like a watermelon, and brain matter, blood and head fragments splattered everywhere, sprinkling on the faces and bodies of the people next to him. Suddenly, those who were still moving did not dare to move. This death was too terrible, and it was simply a death without a complete body. The little cannon man got even angrier when he saw this scene. Don't even think about having food when you go back, and don't even think about your wives and children. However, he could only talk nonsense at most, and it was obvious that he had no way to stop the group from moving forward. Wang Qiushu used the group as a shield and slowly moved forward. At this time, a whoosh sound came from behind. Wang Qiushu did not stop and continued to move forward. This is why she wanted to tie someone up, so that even if she was attacked from the front and back, she would not be hurt. With a human body as a meat shield and the girl's thick clothes, it shouldn't be a big problem. Sure enough, the girl whispered, "I'm fine." He was shot by an arrow. Wang Qiushu did not react at all, as if he didn't hear it, and continued to move forward. However, there was a panic in the crowd soon, and people cried, "He has become a zombie." At the same time, they wanted to keep their distance, but they didn't dare to leave directly. Wang Qiushu's heart sank. He didn't expect that the masked man was so cruel that he didn't even let his own people go. The little cannon brother naturally heard it and glared at the roof. "You are so shameless that you didn't even let my brother go." Wang Qiushu glanced in that direction, but didn't see the masked man. However, the masked man quickly responded, "They are all injured. Medicine is more precious than food in this world. Are you still going to keep this group of useless people?" Hearing this, the little cannon brother's face was uncertain, and soon, as if he had made up his mind, he raised his gun and pointed it at the group of people. The man walking in front cried, "Little cannon brother, I'm loyal to you. I don't need medicine. My injury will heal soon, and then I can fight for you again." Little cannon brother grinned. "He is right. You have all become useless, and it is useless to keep you. Besides, in this chaotic world, isn't it easy to find a new group of men?" With a bang, the man just now fell down. The crowd was in a panic. They would die if they moved forward, and they would die if they didn't move forward. So, they stopped where they were. Wang Qiushu frowned slightly. She didn't expect that the trick would be cracked so quickly, and there was still a long distance between the two sides. She looked at the time again. There was no choice but to fight. She first pulled the belt and found that it was tied very tightly. The person in front of Wang Qiushu was about to cry. Those people could stop, but he was tied by Wang Qiushu, and he was almost dead. The zombies behind the girl were waving their hands randomly, making a ho-ho sound from their mouths. Not honest at all. The girl saw Wang Qiushu pulling the belt and guessed that Wang Qiushu might take some action, so she quickly hugged Wang Qiushu. At this time, she didn't care about so much. It was still important to stay alive. Sure enough, the next second, a pair of hands suddenly stretched out from the crowd and grabbed the buildings on both sides of the end of the street directly. It looked like a slingshot. The little gun brother was scared. If that hand grabbed him, he would be dead. The masked man was stunned for a moment, then he quickly reacted, firing arrows non-stop, directly hitting Wang Qiushu's arm. Unfortunately, the power of the arrows was too weak to break the defense. Then, Wang Qiushu's arms retracted, biting the hammer of the earth in his mouth, and clamping the bicycle under his legs. 3 people and 1 zombie flew over like this. Seeing that he couldn't shoot Wang Qiushu, the masked man shot at the girl behind him. If the girl was shot and turned into a zombie, it would definitely delay Wang Qiushu's movements. Although he had the protection of a level 3 zombie, it was not a good thing to be targeted by a level 2 zombie, so it was better to get rid of Wang Qiushu. At this time, the little gun brother also reacted, holding a pistol and shooting at Wang Qiushu. However, because there was a person tied in front of Wang Qiushu, the bullets all hit that person. The residual impact of the bullets only made Wang Qiushu feel a little pain. When he was about to reach the end, Wang Qiushu loosened one hand and untied his belt. With 2 bangs, the dead man and the zombie fell directly down. Brother Xiaopao saw that the distance between the two sides was getting closer and was ready to continue shooting, but when he saw a zombie falling down, he was so scared that he quickly hid in the car. Wang Qiushu pulled the house with her hands and turned it directly in the air and then landed. At this time, there were only her and the girl in the car. She didn't bother to say so much. She stepped on the bicycle, rode up quickly, and soon disappeared. Brother Xiaopao hid in the car, shivering at the zombies outside. At this time, an arrow shot directly through the zombie's head and nailed him firmly to the car. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 123 Rest. When Xiaopeo saw that the zombie was pinned down, he opened the car door from the other side and got out. The others also breathed a sigh of relief. If the zombie came over, they would be dead. And now they finally got their lives back, which was considered a great escape. As for the broken hand, it was not a big problem. It was better than losing their lives. A trace of relief flashed in their eyes. At this time, there was a whoosh sound, and an arrow was inserted into the body of the first person. The arrowhead was still shaking slightly. The man who was shot was stunned for a moment, but forgot to cry out in pain. He wanted to reach out to pull out the arrow, but found that his hand had already been broken. A trace of despair flashed in his eyes. He looked at Xiaopeo and then at the masked man on the roof. Why? The masked man did not answer and shot another arrow. The rest of the people reacted and fled in all directions. When someone walked towards Xiaopeo, everyone followed him. The masked man seemed to be enjoying the fun of the prey escaping. He did not make a sound, but just shot arrows one by one. Every time an arrow was shot, a person fell down and soon stood up slowly with red eyes, looking around blankly. After a desperate escape, the few remaining people came to Brother Xiaopeo. Brother Xiaopeo only reacted at this time. What are you doing? You didn't kill the zombie, so you use my people to vent your anger. The masked man smiled. These people are useless. Are you going to take them back and worship them? Besides, don't forget our deal. Now that the level 2 zombie has escaped, let them make up for it. The remaining people looked at Brother Xiaopeo anxiously, and one of them said quickly, Brother Xiaopeo, have you forgotten that we are brothers? We will fight together in the future and become the kings of this doomsday. A trace of pity flashed in Brother Xiaopeo's eyes, and his face changed. But soon, he made up his mind and rushed forward, shouting, then they will all be given to you. Those people were stunned for a moment, and soon ran towards Brother Xiaopeo again. Even if I die, I will not let you have an easy life. After a burst of whoosh, those people were all pierced with arrows, and turned into ordinary zombies wandering around. However, they did not attack Brother Xiaopeo, as if they did not see him. Brother Xiaopeo looked at these good brothers who had turned from humans into zombies, and then looked at the masked man. All my men are dead, and we will not be able to cooperate for a while. Wait for me to recruit soldiers. The masked man waved his hand nonchalantly. It's okay, our friendship will always be there. Besides, you have so much food, it's just a simple thing to recruit soldiers. As for the possibility of survivors nearby, he did not tell Brother Xiaopeo. Those people were all in his pocket, so he would not give them to Brother Xiaopeo for nothing. Brother Xiaopeo was a little annoyed and did not answer again. He got in the car and left. The masked man looked in the direction where Wang Qiuyushu left and said, wait, we will find you soon. On the other side, Wang Qiuyushu hurried back to the community. After getting off the car, the girl let go of Wang Qiuyushu's hand and stared at the large black stain in a daze. She also saw the security zombies in the security booth and was a little confused for a moment. Did she just get out of the tiger's den and fall into the tiger's mouth again? Wang Qiuyushu didn't have time to talk to the girl so much. He stretched out his arms and went upstairs, then walked quickly to the room where Li Wending was. As soon as he opened the door, the transformation time was over. Fortunately, he has been taking powerful pills recently, and his physical strength has greatly increased. The transformation time has also reached 12 minutes, so his physical strength is still sufficient now. Wang Qiuyushu, whose body was limp and limbs were weak, was helped by him to sit on the stool. At this time, the real Wang Qiuyushu finally woke up. I am back. He nodded. Well, I was lucky to escape. Wang Qiuyushu pulled a smile from the corner of his mouth. I haven't experienced this feeling of exhaustion for a long time. It's really uncomfortable. He took out a first level healing medicine. Take it first. Rest for a while. I'll go see if those people are chasing us. Wang Qiuyushu took the healing medicine and ate it. Although the bullet didn't hit her directly just now, the impact still caused her some internal injuries. He walked to the windowsill and looked out, but found that the girl was gone. There were no zombies nearby, so she was not attacked by zombies. So, the girl might have left by herself. This is good. He put the girl in danger, and then finally rescued the girl. It can be regarded as a draw, and it's good for everyone to say goodbye. After waiting for a while, he didn't see anyone chasing him, and he was relieved. In fact, he was not afraid of those people. If they came, he could just take some stamina pills and deal with them in minutes. If they were level 3 zombies, that would be troublesome. He would become a burden to Wang Qiushu. At this time, footsteps suddenly came from outside the door, and a voice shouted, "Are you still there?" The voice was that of the girl. Wang Qiushu looked at him. "Did you bring the girl back?" He replied helplessly, "The situation was urgent just now. There was nothing I could do. You take a rest first. I'll go take a look." Wang Qiushu nodded. He opened the door and shouted, "Are you looking for someone?" The girl saw a living person coming out and was stunned for a moment, and then quickly replied, "No, I'm looking for a zombie. She brought me here." He didn't know what to say. "Aren't you afraid that the zombie will eat you?" The girl shook her head. "Not only did the zombie not eat me, but it also saved my life." He looked at the girl and saw that she was not injured, so he said, "You'd better go back quickly. If there are really zombies here, it's not safe." The girl looked at him strangely. Why did this man seem to be unwelcome to her? And the zombies had obviously run here, so how could there be living people here? She thought about it and shook her head. "I can't go back. I'm afraid those people are still here, and they will implicate my family." He was silent directly. He was just running away and forgot about these things. At this time, Wang Qiushu shouted, "Let her in." He opened the door directly, "Then come in and sit for a while." The girl was surprised by his change of attitude, but she didn't think much about it and walked in directly. If it was a zombie, she might still be afraid. But if it was a person, she was not afraid. After all, she knew Kung Fu, so it was easy for her to deal with an ordinary person. Chapter 124. Wang Qiushu is confused again. After entering, the first thing the girl saw was not Wang Qiushu, but the hammer of the earth on the ground. She remembered that the zombie just now also had a similar hammer, but it looked a little different from this one. Because Wang Qiushu did not appear in his current appearance at that time, and the hammer of the earth was also disguised, the girl could not recognize it directly. With a bang, the door was closed, and the room became a little dim. He walked over, took a chair, and handed it to the girl. "Sit down." The girl sat down, then looked at Wang Qiushu, and then looked at him. Wang Qiushu was also looking at the girl, but did not speak. He pricked up his ears to listen to the movement outside. If those people came over, they would definitely drive. Although I didn't see those people chasing me just now, I can't just let my guard down. After a while, the girl looked at him again. "Do you also raise a zombie?" He looked at Wang Qiushu with a bit of amusement, and then pretended to know nothing and asked, "Also?" The girl was silent for a long time before saying, "My grandpa went out to find food before, and was scratched by a zombie. However, he forced himself to return home, and turned into a zombie. However, he completely lost consciousness. I couldn't do it, so I had to lock him up." He and Wang Qiushu looked at each other, and then nodded. They already knew all this. The girl continued, "The zombie who saved me just now can not only speak, but also obviously retains his rationality. How did you do it?" He waved his hand. "I don't know what you are talking about. Their relationship has not reached that point, so he naturally won't easily tell his secrets. Besides, Wang Qiushu looks weak now. If the other party ponders a little, it will be easy to guess their weakness, that they will lose physical strength after transformation." The girl said anxiously, "Please tell me, this is really important to me. I don't ask for much, as long as my grandfather can regain his sanity." He was silent. He really didn't know how to do this, and there was no corresponding product in the system. Wang Qiushu suddenly spoke, "How do you know he raised a zombie? Do you know what zombies eat?" When he heard this, he realized that this person was confused again. Wasn't it obvious that he was delivering it himself? Sure enough, the girl began to analyze. "First of all, I just saw the zombie enter the next room, and you happened to appear here. Zombies are very sensitive to sounds, but whether it was the door opening just now, or we are talking now, we didn't hear any sound of the zombies. So, it is very likely that the zombie was raised by you, and is under your control. Secondly, the hammer next to you looks very similar to the zombie's hammer. Maybe it was made by the same manufacturer. Finally, I have seen zombies eat people and I have also seen them kill each other. Wang Qiushu nodded, not realizing the seriousness of the matter. So, aren't you worried that he will kill you and feed you to the zombies? The girl shook her head. It's just that it doesn't take so much trouble to feed the zombies. There was a pile of corpses there just now, but the zombie didn't even look at them. So, I'm very curious how you did it. Wang Qiushu was silent and looked at him. He also had a headache and finally said, there are really no zombies here. If you don't believe me, you can look around. As for the zombies you mentioned that brought you here, we don't know. However, we just came here today. If we knew there were zombies here, we would definitely not come. The girl looked disappointed, and after a while, she bit her lip and said, okay, but no matter what, I still have to thank you for saving my life just now. Wang Qiushu waved his hand and smiled. You're welcome. As soon as he said this, he and the girl looked over at the same time. Wang Qiushu was stunned by their gaze. Did I say something wrong? He looked at the wall next to him, considering whether to just hit his head and die. After all the calculations, he didn't expect to fall into the hands of a stupid teammate. The girl looked at Wang Qiushu. You were the one who saved me just now? Are you the zombie? But you are obviously a human now. How did you do it? Wang Qiushu blinked his big eyes, and for a moment he couldn't react. After a while, he asked, how did you know? Hearing this, he completely gave up. It's over. It's all over. Hope ignited in the girl's eyes. She grabbed Wang Qiushu's hand and said, how did you manage to turn from a zombie into a human? Please, this is really important to me. As long as you tell me, I can do anything for you, even if it means taking my life. Wang Qiushu still didn't react. Wait, how did you guess that I was the zombie? He was speechless, but now that the truth had been revealed, there was no point in stopping Wang Qiushu, so he just let her say whatever she wanted. The girl explained, just now, it was the zombie who saved my life, so I said thank you for saving my life, but you accepted it, so I guessed it. Wang Qiushu was stunned for a moment. Is that so? Didn't you say that you were brought here by the zombies? If you find the zombies, you might be killed, or killed to silence them. And we rescued you in. I thought you were thanking us for this. The room was a little quiet for a while. The three of them looked at each other, and it turned out that they were not on the same channel. He sighed and began to wonder if Wang Qiushu's IQ was related to his physical strength. When his physical strength decreased, his IQ also decreased. The girl obviously didn't expect this, but Wang Qiushu had already admitted it, so she continued to beg, please tell me. Wang Qiushu didn't know how to answer, so he looked at him. He wanted to die by banging his head against the wall now, but didn't this just sell him out? Sure enough, the girl looked at him following Wang Qiushu's gaze. You haven't shown up. Could it be that you are secretly controlling everything? Then you must know what's going on. As long as you tell me, I'm willing to do anything. He touched his chin with his hand, his eyes gleaming with lust, and laughed. Is it really possible? The girl took a step back in fear of the look, but soon stood still and nodded firmly. Yes, anything is possible. He took a step forward. Are you sure? The girl didn't retreat again, and nodded heavily. Yeah. He wanted to say something else, but at this moment he felt a sharp pain in his waist. Looking down, there was a slender jade hand on his waist. Wang Qiushu looked at him with half-squinted eyes, and a hint of danger flashed in his eyes. Come on, keep talking, don't stop. Chapter 125 Deal done. He grimaced in pain. You don't have much strength, do you? Why does it still hurt when I pinch you? Wang Qiushu chuckled. Yeah, that's why I'm using all my strength now. Don't change the subject. What did you want to do just now? Go on. He endured the severe pain. I didn't want to do anything just now. I just wanted her to give up. Wang Qiushu was stunned for a moment and said oh, then let go of his hand. The girl also reacted at this time. I can do other things. I know kung fu. I can help you fight. I can also kill zombies. I can give you my life. He shook his head. Your strength is at most to kill some ordinary zombies, and that's with good weapons. If you encounter a level 1 zombie, you will most likely die. Besides, what's the use? Even if you can fight, do you dare to kill people? The girl remembered the brutal scene just now, and the corpse in the corner. She opened her mouth, but couldn't say anything, and finally shook her head. He sneered, "That's it. So you don't have anything valuable to me, so you should go." The girl looked at him again. "I can help you find food. I can do a lot of things." He shook his head. "Look at yourself, and then look at us. Do you think we can't find food?" There was a clear contrast between them. The girl had chapped lips, dry hair, and a thin face, and was obviously hungry and thirsty. He and Wang Qiushu were radiant and ruddy, and it was obvious that they were living a good life. The girl was silent for a moment, but she still didn't give up. "Then do you want anything? I can help you find it." He was silent for a while, and finally said, "We want to lure out the level 3 zombies in the vegetable market. Can you do it?" The girl immediately recalled the fear she had in the vegetable market before. At that time, she was not the main target, but she was still trembling with fear. And just now he said that he might die if he met a level 1 zombie, so wouldn't he be dead if he met a level 3 zombie? Wang Qiushu tugged at the corner of his clothes at this time, and seemed to think that this request was too much. The girl was silent for a while, then looked at him firmly. "Okay, I promise you. But I have a condition." He looked at the girl unexpectedly, and didn't expect that she would really agree. "You say?" Wang Qiushu shouted directly. "Are you crazy? You know, even she, a level 2 zombie, didn't dare to jump in front of the level 3 zombie, let alone an ordinary person." The girl ignored Wang Qiushu and looked at him. "I want to send my grandfather and my sister to you first. If I die, you can help me kill my grandfather and then raise my sister. I believe that with your ability, it is very easy to raise one more person." He didn't hesitate and said directly, "Okay, I promise you." The girl got his answer and a strange expression appeared on her face, as if she was relieved, but also as if she was very afraid of the upcoming death. Wang Qiushu didn't know what he was doing, but with the previous experience, she didn't dare to speak casually now, so she just kept pulling his clothes. He looked at the girl, pointed at himself, and then pointed at Wang Qiushu. "My name is Li Wending, and her name is Wang Qiushu." The girl was stunned for a moment. "My name is Qiu Zilan, and my sister is Qiu Zillion. Forget my grandpa, he has become a zombie now. If he can wake up one day, let him tell you in person." He nodded. Wang Qiushu felt a sense of sadness, and loosened his hand that was pulling his clothes. Qiu Zilan thought for a while and asked again, "Did you kill those people just now?" He was silent. After all, if Wang Qiushu was controlled by him, it would not be wrong to say that he killed them. But Qiu Zilan actually didn't know that Wang Qiushu's body could be controlled by both of them. Wang Qiushu said directly, "No, I killed him." Qiu Zilan was stunned for a moment, and looked at the girl in front of her. Although she has a good figure and a beautiful face, it can be seen from the conversation just now that she is confused. But when she was in battle, she was so decisive and ruthless, just like two people. He also nodded. "Yes, she killed it." Qiu Zilan didn't quite believe it. "But, isn't she a zombie you raised? Shouldn't she be under your control? How could you let her kill people?" He was speechless. Wang Qiushu was even more angry. "Why did she say that she was like a dog?" He explained. "First of all, she and I are just a cooperative relationship. To be precise, she raises me, not me raising her." Wang Qiushu nodded in agreement, showing a hint of pride. Qiu Zilan looked at the two people with a question mark on her face, obviously not believing it. Then he said, "Secondly, she is a human being, a rational person. So of course her body is controlled by herself. How could it be controlled by me?" Wang Qiushu nodded again and again when he heard this. Anyway, what he said was right, and as long as she nodded, she would not be a drag. Qiu Zilan looked at Wang Qiushu's appearance and became more confused. He then said, "Finally, is killing wrong?" Qiu Zilan looked at him. "That's murder. Killing is against the law, don't you know?" He smiled. "It's against the law. This is the end of the world. We can't even get enough food to eat. Are there still laws?" Qiu Zilan shook her head. "Even if you are right, they are still human beings. We shouldn't kill each other." He sighed. "So, it's really a miracle that you are still alive today." Wang Qiushu nodded repeatedly. "You're right." Qiu Zilan looked at the two of them. "Maybe we have different ideas. He continued, if she didn't give you a knife at that time, if you just had a broken kitchen knife, do you think you could survive the siege of so many people? You treat them as the same kind, but they don't treat you as the same kind. The world has changed. This is a world where the strong prey on the weak, and it only talks about the most primitive law of the jungle. QI Zealand's eyes flickered. I still think we shouldn't kill people. Just beat them up. He smiled and said, the masked man is right. In the end times, medicine is more valuable than food. There is no difference between injuring them and killing them directly. QI Zealand was silent. He said, if you died there, what would happen to your sister? QI Zealand looked at him and said, then others will definitely help me take care of my sister. We agreed on that. Wan Kyushu stood up at this time and said, you are too naive. They can't even take care of themselves, so how can they help you take care of your sister? End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.